arrived.
We here, baby.
What's up, man? HotepCon 2022.
We here,
Second
baby.
annual. It's up.
Who's going to court?
Hotep.
Where's she at? Did you tell her to come to passenger pickup?
It's lit. Kim, it's Hotep Jesus. We'll be back.
Yeah, we're just talking about that camera. Got the balloons.
No, we flew Spirit Airlines. Who flies Spirit Airlines? On purpose. Who does that? You never catch me.
I seen it and I was like,
Yo, I ain't never flying Frontier again. You get jump seats. Every scene with the jump
Did I tell you about that?
Every scene with the jump seat. It hurt.
Frontier's like
Wow.
it's just a glorified spirit plane.
Didn't I just tell y'all they be having them jump seats, yo? That's what they call jump seats.
The entire plane jump seat.
Yes.
Nothing but exclusive play.
You got nothing but cameras.
You? Everybody's from Montreal. We used to play that. That was a classic.
That was a classic?
Yeah. That's a very that was a classic.
Was it?
That shit came out.
N.I.E.
Yeah.
No, because it was the one, something that was
Yeah,
one, that
it had
one.
Super Thug.
Yeah, Super Thug.
Yeah, the one with
It
Big
had
Pun
the
on
one,
it.
yeah, the one with Pun on it. That was a classic.
that was
That was a good
song
album.
in the
That was
album.
a good album.
Orange, yeah, orange.
Orange was the orange drink.
Orange drink.
I hear it's orange drink. I can't hear you that.
Oh, no. We doing bad out here, people.
The hot, yeah.
We doing
Hot
bad out
spicy or
here.
the hot?
No, that's spicy.
They gonna go on the internet, they gonna say these niggas is some
No,
fake
not the hot,
hoteps.
yeah,
They not following
yeah.
Dr. Sebi
The
diet.
orange drink.
This nigga just ordered a
I
chicken
see
sandwich.
Yeah,
Cannon just
4 beef
opened,
spicy
just
chicken.
ordered a Big Mac.
You know, this nigga just ordered sawdust with salt on it.
Hey yo, Brody, turn mine into another one.
And then
No pickles on my Big Mac.
Pause.
you seen the show Hotep's Been Told You? All right, look it up right now on your phone while I'm waiting for my food. Hotep Jesus right there. So tell all the crew. You just waited on.
You guys can use these for Hotep Been Told You, or we could do this high tops like we did. Oh baby, it's so lit. It's so lit. We got our wonderful Lady Hotep here. Chris, this is such a wonderful guy. Exactly. Shit looking professional. This is Cisco sponsor.
Nice.
Yeah. He brought the bandage over, so I'm gonna.
popcorn. You see how I have it? You got two my walls here with me. I'm in heaven right now. Move that table over to the left a little bit.
Okay.
This is sweet.
You see him finesse a little white girl out of a fresh cup of coffee and Starbucks. Hotep Jesus. And y'all know him, y'all love him. The Paul Purveyor himself. Uncle Hotep, get your ass out here.
Thank you, Ken. Everybody, clap for Ken Hotep.
We go in for real and ain't got no chill. Teach me how to grip. 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 Hotep and build, y'all know the deal. We go in for real and ain't got no chill. Teach me how to grip. 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 Save the date if you not.
What I heard, and what is probably true, it was invented in Tijuana, Mexico, in a restaurant called Caesar. So I always pay homage to the people that invent something in somewhere, and I like to bring some limes in because that's more Mexican than lemons. But so we're gonna mix them both to make some perfect Caesar dressing. Classic ingredient: Worcestershire sauce. My own touch to the classic Caesar, a little Tabasco.
I like to say that it is an absolute blessing to be in the presence of people and have you guys with me tonight. And a female God can make something like that happen. Let's bless the hands that prepared this food, and let's bless the mouths that will enjoy this food. In Mother God's name, amen. Amen, woman. Amen, woman. Amen, woman, right.
Most of you will be replaced by AI, but it doesn't have to be this way. You can become AI resistant, but you will need to outperform the machines. You may not think this is possible, but it is. The infiniteness of human consciousness is more infinite than the power of the machine. You may not know how to tap into this power, but we do, and we will show you how. Join us in this journey to make the machine our servant. Most of you will be replaced by AI, but it doesn't have to be this way. You can become AI resistant, but you will need to outperform the machines. You may not think this is possible, but it is. The infiniteness of human consciousness is more infinite than the power of the machine. You may not know how to tap into this power, but we do, and we will show you how. Join us in this journey to make the machine our servant.
Man, what was going on while I was gone? It was grifty out here.
That Hotep Jesus dude.
Hotep Jesus? I love that guy. He's terrific.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Welcome to the Grift Report. Welcome to the Grift Report. I'm your host.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Last week I was in Bitcoin Miami. So I missed a lot of the grift, unfortunately. So we're going to cover some of the grift from last week, and then we're going to cover some grift from the weekend and today. Insane what I'm seeing in the grift bag. Absolutely insane. The stuff that's in the grift bag, I'm like, do I really have to talk about this? This is what I have to talk about? It's quite frightening for humanity when these are the things that we have to discuss. But we're going to keep it lighthearted. We're going to keep it comical. We're going to have some fun. We're going to try and take these topics fairly seriously. We got a lot of racial stuff in this bag. Shout out to Syscoin. We got, let's just go there now. Let's go to my viral moment at Bitcoin Miami, which was well received by the Bitcoin community. Some of the anon Bitcoin maxis, I guess you can call them. I don't know. These like weird, funny accounts who like are real people, but they aren't real people. I don't know. Let's pull up the clip. They had me working a news desk at the Bitcoin conference. So I'll play a clip here for you.
The price of freedom is accountability and responsibility. The current system, you basically offload the responsibility of holding your cash, holding your wealth in somebody else's hands. The difference is with Bitcoin, it's all on you, baby. And I think this presents a tremendous opportunity in the field, and I've been saying this for a while. I believe that some company is going to come along and they're going to offer some sort of insurance package. That's what I want. I don't want to be responsible for my keys. I want to say, here's my keys, you're responsible, and if something happens, then guess what? I'm coming after you, baby. You're going to be responsible for my wealth. That's going to be a key, and I'll pay 5% for that. I don't mind paying 5% to just for the peace of mind, right? Now,
So they clipped that. Now, keep in mind, I had a wonderful, wonderful time at the Bitcoin Miami conference, the Bitcoin conference. Shout out to Bitcoin Magazine. I had an absolute wonderful time. I had so much fun working the news desk. Can't wait to do it again. But people have said, Hotep, you did a really good job on that news desk. So, I hope to be back there for the next conference next year. I think it'll be a lot of fun. But of course, they're going to take, your viral moment or the piece that can be scrutinized the most and clip it up, And they fell for the bait. They basically fell for the bait. When you're a master troll, you kind of know what you can and cannot say and what's going to be controversial. So they took the bait and blew me up, and I got a ton of new followers thanks to this viral moment clip. So, but I was also being serious as well. I added some hyperbole in there, but I was serious. I really truly believe that a company's going to come along and offer insurance if it's not already happening. Not everybody wants to be responsible for your keys. If somebody gets a hold of your keys, do you realize your Bitcoin's gone and there's nothing you can do about it? That's it. It's gone. They can just take it, remove it. It happens all the time. People lose their keys or their seed phrase, or God forbid you lose your keys and your seed phrase, and you can't even access that Bitcoin anymore. It's just gone now. So, to secure your Bitcoin is it's a pretty decent opportunity for responsibility, but it's gonna take some work. And the more you have, the more work you have to put in to secure it. And it's a very dicey game. But I believe that in the future, people are going to look to insurance companies to insure the amount of Bitcoin that they have, or at least a portion of their wealth will be insured. just as a safety net. You don't have a safety net when it's all on you. When it's all on you, there is no safety net. You screw up, that thing is gone. There is no password reset for Bitcoin. You can't call Bitcoin company and say, hey, I need a password reset, or email them saying, no, sorry, you lose. So, he said, or if SEC wants in. No, I'm not really. I don't think the SEC is a threat to Bitcoin. It's SEC is more of a threat to stable coins. We're not going to get into that right now. But yeah, make sure you go check out my full. I wish they would have got. I got to go back and get some clips because I had some really awesome clips from my time on the news desk. And I wish they would have took some of the other ones. This one was great. Obviously, I created a nice little opportunity troll, but I wish they took some of the other ones as well, because I had some really fire takes on that news desk. Anyway, let's reach back into the grift bag. We're going to open up phone lines in a little bit. Apparently, Tim Scott is running for office. Wait, why did that disappear? It was just right here. What is going on? Are people done talking about Tim Scott that fast? Hold on, let me pull this up for you. So, actually, let's pull it up here. Here we go. Let's pull this up. So I have a tweet here from Laura Luma. Says Senator Tim Scott has joined the growing GOP primary for president 2024. President Trump is wishing him good luck. Good luck to Senator Tim Scott in entering the Republican presidential primary race. It's rapidly loading up with lots of people, and Tim is a big step up from Ron DeSanctimonious, who was totally unelectable. I got opportunity zones done with Tim, a big deal that has been highly successful. Good luck, Tim. Sonny Johnson had a Twitter Spaces this morning calling him the Magic Negro. Tim Scott, the Magic Negro. Some of her feedback on that was they like to show you these individual examples of black people who have found success and then point to everybody else and say, hey, why can't you do this too? I don't think you can really. Okay, so it's not a what's the word I'm looking for here? Two-way street. Okay, it's like two one-ways, if anything. So you have on one way is where you look at somebody and you go, hey, look at me, I did it, so you should be able to do it too. Then there's the other road where it's they look at you and go, oh, because he did it, I can do it too. And I like that road better. If somebody can look at Hotep Jesus, people have said this before. They said, yo, when I saw you do this, I thought it could be accomplished because I saw you do it. For example, when I wrote my book, it inspired other people to write a book. So I think people can find inspiration in others by having that. But I don't think it's fair to say to someone, hey, look at me, I did it, so you should be able to do it too. There are some instances where that could be used as inspiration, but I don't think it speaks to everyone, regardless of skin color, religious background, etc., etc. I mean, if you're born into trash, I can't expect you to reach gold. What we can do is we can probably set up systems, organizations to create a better environment for these people so that they can flourish and so that they can become gold. They can find their way out. But I don't think it's fair to say to someone, I mean, just thinking about some of the mental trauma that people might go through when they live in these impoverished areas, watching people become victims of different types of crime. What if your mom's a victim of a sexual assault crime? Like, you have to, or watching your mom like get hooked on drugs or alcohol. Like, a lot of this stuff weighs in on you mentally, just as a child. So there's a lot of hurdles that could happen, or a lot of hurdles that need to be hopped over before we can talk about upward mobility. But I've always said this. I said a lot of this stuff comes back to proximity to information. And as close as people are to the information are actually blocked off from said information. A lot of it has to do with progressive politics, progressive media. For example, when people decided to go out and everyone wanted to go get that inoculation, well, it's because they were bombarded by leftist media. And we're going to talk about leftist media in a little bit here. But they were bombarded by leftist media, so they got a very skewed view or very narrow view of the options that are out there. And I think a lot of people are victims of this type of propaganda, and this type of propaganda is pervasive even in the school system, where the school system, teaches you how to follow directions, et cetera, do this, do that, but it doesn't give you too much critical thinking. It doesn't dive into how do you build credit, how do you build a house, how do you buy a house, how do you manage your finances, how do you invest in the stock market, how do you invest in Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, Syscoin, all these different things. They're not giving you what I would say marketable and relevant information. A lot of that stuff is antiquated and outdated. So you can't really do the one size fits all model. Instead, what we can say is, hey, look, I've become a success and I would like to share with others exactly how I achieve this success so they become closer to the proximity information. Unfortunately, somebody like myself, who is in close proximity with the conservative right, and we're going to talk about that in a moment as well when we talk about the BBC Verify thing, but being labeled as right wing can deter somebody from some of the information that can actually uplift them. And again, that comes back to progressive policy, propaganda, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, so does Senator Tim Scott have a chance at winning? No, absolutely. Hell no.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
He doesn't have a chance in hell, but he knows that. And that's not exactly the purpose of him running. You see, when you run for president, there are learnings that have to be discovered. How much of the public likes you? How much of the vote do you get? What contributed to your poll numbers? Starting your campaign race off, if you want to run, if you want to win in, 2028, you should probably run in 2024. And I think that's what the situation is he's just getting his chops. He's just getting his experience in, setting up the infrastructure so that, after Trump wins 2024, he won't be eligible again. So 2028, maybe Tim Scott at that point is a serious threat to the Democrats. I mean, think about a black guy running for office, but on the right. It's going to be quite interesting how they deal with that. Maybe they'll pull out their own black card, whoever they have over there on the left, to try and neutralize him, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's a bit of a wild card when the Republicans pull him out, not in 2024, but in 2028. Obviously, like I said, he doesn't have a chance in hell in the next election. But, he's going to get his experience. He's going to get his chops up. And we'll see what he has to offer. He's got to get his talking points down. He's got to figure out what his campaign's going to run on. All these great things. See what resonates with voters. But, yeah, not a chance in hell. Also, like I told you before, one of the greatest grifts ever is running for president. I mean, you're basically living your life off of other people's donations. It's all, written off, to the campaign. Now, you just don't want to be like this Democrat here. Hold on, I'll pull this up on the screen. You just don't want to be like this Democrat here and violate the Hatch Act. Oh, let me see if I can find that really fast. Here we go. Let's pull this up.
Just out moments ago, We have an update for you on Massachusetts U.S. Attorney Rachel Rollins. A brand new report just out moments ago finds that she, quote, willfully violated the Hatch Act on multiple occasions during her time as U.S. Attorney. Now, the report published by the U.S. Office of Special Counsel comes one day after Rollins announced that she plans to resign from her post by the end of the week. So let's explain what this means here. The Hatch Act is critically important to our government and certain parts of certain branches of our government being nonpartisan. It's designed to limit certain political activities of federal employees to ensure federal programs remain nonpartisan and not biased. Rollins is accused of attending a political party fundraiser while in office. The report also saying she tried to sabotage the campaign of a political candidate by leaking non-public information to the media. Rollins' resignation comes just 16 months after she was sworn in. We have an update for you on.
So you see how the Democrats play. They play real dirty. I mean, everybody plays dirty, but Democrats take it to a whole new low. And here, you know, some of you may have heard this story. Some of you may not have heard this story. But as you can see, this lady quite dastardly violates the Hatch Act. And, you know, to sabotage her opponent's campaign. So the mainstream media didn't blow this up a whole lot. I'm sure if she was a Republican, we would have heard this around the clock. Just like we haven't heard much about Hunter and the rest of the Biden crime family. Anyway, let's go back into the grift bag. Let's pull this up. This is an old one. And I want to pull this up. I do want to cover it because we've never covered it on the Grift Report. But this video is old, man. And I'm not saying this. I'm not saying it's old based upon information that I have conclusively. But from my recollection, I could have sworn I saw this video at least 6 years ago or something like that. This video is super old. So we're going to get into the whole, are white people oppressed or not? Let's watch this video first.
You're saying that I can't have a hairstyle because of your culture? Why?
Because it's my culture. You know what belongs to me.
Do you know it was an Egyptian culture? Are you Egyptian? Nah, bro, you're not.
Are you Egyptian?
No, but it doesn't matter.
Wait, where's Egypt? Tell me.
You know what, girl?
Where's Egypt?
Dude, girl, you have no right to tell me what I can wear. Huh?
Where's Egypt?
Yo, girl, stop touching me right now.
Yo, girl, stop touching me right now. Come back.
Get off of me.
Come back. Come back. You put your hands on me, no words.
Like, you know, makes up some shit because of what the hair I have? That's no reason, yo. I don't need your disrespect. I don't need your disrespect.
Why are you filming this?
Just for everyone's safety.
So, this says more crazy clips. Campus employee assaults student for cultural appropriation. I wouldn't exactly call that assault. Maybe it is, and I just don't know what I'm talking about. I would call it harassment. But it's actually very, very, I don't know. It's kind of corny to be policing white people's hair and saying, hey, you can't wear that hair. I mean, are we going to run around and snatch blonde wigs off of every black woman that walks around with a blonde wig on?
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
And then, of course, they're going to pull out the Polynesian kids and tell you about how the Polynesian kids have blonde hair. Unfortunately, that usually turns dark as they get older. But, yeah, like culture was meant to be shared. Some people are more protective of their culture, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, if the white boy want to run around with dreadlocks in his hair, I really don't care. But again, this is during a time period where we're in grifting season, a.k.a. election season. And we need this division, right? This is the division. And we're going to go into some of the stuff that the right has pulled up, you know, to show that whites are oppressed, et cetera, et cetera. And we're going to try and walk through that, although I'm not quite sure what to make of it as of yet. But I want to start off somewhere else before we come back to that. More college stuff, right? In the race category. So let's go right here.
Aramis Anderson said, "The last shall be first and the first shall be last." Receiving a Bachelor of Arts in Disciplinary Studies field, Political Economy, Legal Studies, and African American Studies. He said, "Disbursement and allocation, reparations for African Americans, and opportunity."
So what you're looking at here is UC Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley, held a black graduation today for its non-white students. State-funded segregation 2023, says Citizen Press. And I have mixed emotions about this. First of all, as a black man, this looks like a whole lot of fun to have this, sort of graduation where, because usually at a graduation they call your name and you get your thing and you walk off and, your family yells your name and you don't get this whole moment here. Look at this guy just dancing and carrying on. Look at this. This looks like a lot of fun if I'm a 22-year-old just graduated and I get to have my moment on stage as opposed to just being rushed along, So from that point of view, it looks like a whole lot of fun. However, when they say this is a black graduation, it's a slippery slope for me. And it just makes me start to question segregation in its heyday, right? Was segregation the way all along? Maybe we never should have had integration. We've gone full circle. We've gone from segregation to integration, back to segregation, and asking for it. So I'm just trying to think of why in the hell did we integrate in the first place? Black people fought, not all black people, we know it was the Boule blacks. The Boule blacks, these university style Negroes, are the ones who fought to be next to white people, and now they want to be away from them, which was the solution from the very beginning. I don't know what to make of it. And it's so then when we flash back and we, project ourselves 20, 30 years to the future, and then we go, hey, United States, UC Berkeley had a segregated graduation. How are they going to view that? And if you go forward and you say, hey, look, at one point this country had segregated graduations. Then we had integrated graduations. And then once again, we had segregated graduations, except this time black people wanted it. It's just, I'm just trying to think to myself, how are people in the future going to process this information? Are they going to process it within context? Or I gotta say, I think they're going to laugh at us. I truly believe they are going to laugh at us. They're going to say, these people during this time period were complete, absolute morons. Because all of this stuff is just contradictory to, what it is? It's just not productive. It's just not productive. What comes of, operating like this? If you wanted that, why didn't you just go to a HBCU? You wanted a black graduation, just go to HBCU, right? That's what would make sense. I don't know what to make of it. It's a racial grift Monday. Let's go back into the bag. We got more to cover here. I should probably get into this weirdo stuff. Actually, let's stay on the race grift, and then we'll go relationships, and then we'll go. Yeah, let's stay on the race grift. Let's pull up this. This is an old clip here, and I thought it was hilarious. This clip was hilarious. Let's play this.
The Michael, he seems like a cool guy. I don't know, he can't really dress, but other than that,
he didn't make an impression with me at all, not a good or a bad. I don't even remember him.
Neutral. Okay, yeah. JJ? Michael's got a twinkle in his eye. He's a young man, and I'd have to see more, but he seemed very open. Okay. Yeah.
I don't like Mike. Well, okay, I'm going to say that he's looks like he's native Texas, and being from Texas, I would have to support that. But I don't like him on the fact that he's black. Absolutely not.
David?
Please.
And I knew this was going to come.
Please,
I don't like him because he's black.
I don't like him because he's black. It's about to get real dicey in this race situation.
Are you even serious right now?
Thing, you know, I'm a minority, but I got a problem.
So this is quite reflective of where we are today, where, you know, the white woman is going to speak out and virtue signal as loudly as possible, so she's not, you know, confused with being a racist, and you'll see the black man's actions.
I was gonna say. Wait, hold on. You're like a minority yourself.
Absolutely.
You're like,
Then she calls him a minority. She says, "You're a minority yourself." Well, I guess here in America, he's a minority, but as you'll see, he's from the Polynesian Islands, and in the Polynesian Islands, he's not a minority, he's the majority. And globally, white people are a minority and not a majority. So what is a minority even?
We rode in yesterday together, so I'm to assume, based on what you just said, that you don't like me because I'm black?
I'm talking in general sense here, but the fact is...
General sense, how much more general than you can be? Then you're sitting in a car with somebody, you're riding in it, you said it, you opened it up.
Am I?
You did that.
Okay, let me tell you this.
You must be out of your...
It doesn't matter if we rode in or not. It doesn't matter. I don't know you from anybody, okay? We share the same cab, but you know what? My personal beliefs and my personal experience.
And he says, you must be out of your mind to say something like that. No, he's well within his right mind. And this is what we always say in the Hotep community. You swear that the white man is your enemy, but these POCs do not like you and they hate you worse than the white man does. If you thought the white man was your problem, wait till you go overseas. They don't like you. You see, me being a cultured man, I wouldn't have responded like that. I would have laughed and be like, oh, wow, you know, I would have congratulated this man for the bravery to actually speak his mind and say exactly what he means. I would have asked him to elaborate more, you know, just so he can bury himself, you know, with you know, however he would respond to that with an exuberance of ignorance.
I don't like them. I never have, and I never will.
I don't like them. I never have, and I never will. This is Uncle Hotep, cousin right here.
What is it about black people that you don't like?
This ought to be good.
Yeah. I'm strapping in for this one.
Yeah, well, strap tight.
You might want to strap me in for this one.
Well, the thing is, you know, based on the experience and the people I've worked with, where I come from, I'm sick and tired of people thinking, specifically, I am mentioning black people, thinking we owe them something, that the world owes them something. I'm totally opposed to affirmative action. Where are you from? I don't want people to give me a job just because I'm brown. I want people to know that I have the credentials. You know, Polynesians don't have a BET. We don't get all pissed off when we don't have an NAACP that comes and
who's that?
First off, I just want to know where you're from.
I grew up on the islands.
Where?
Overseas.
Overseas, and there's no black people over there?
Where overseas? Like what islands? What are you talking
Near the Hawaiian Islands.
The Polynesian Islands.
I'm a Polynesian, yes.
When did you come to America?
And I live in the South. There are plenty of black people there, and I had quite the opportunity to be able to work with these people. And you know what? I won't.
That is so
Said I had plenty of opportunity to work with these people. I don't want nothing to do with them. Now here go the black guy.
And ill-informed and so stupid, even if you didn't believe it.
This is my problem with black people. Like when people express how they feel or how they think, we always feel the need to, especially our well-to-do Negroes, our Negroes in the suit, we always feel the need to correct them in such the wrong manner. You know, it's almost like black virtue signaling, I guess you can say. But I think he has to cover his ass because he's sitting on the show and he's the token black guy in this situation. So he's got to, you know, speak up and speak out. But I wouldn't have said nothing. I'd have been like, I probably would have asked a couple of questions, laughed, and then we'd have left and had a beer together.
I think I'm going to stand up here and say I'm not going to give some money to somebody because they're white. I mean, you know, some things are better left unsaid.
That would be your choice.
Rather than have people really realize what an idiot you are.
I think everybody should have enough room to hate whoever they want.
Now, I know, I mean, you are. That is just the most stupid. I agree.
Like, hate doesn't do anything but hurt yourself. So if you want to hurt yourself, who am I to stop you?
Stupid thing, you know, and we, you know, we meet in the car and we say, hey, we're going to be friends after this. Don't take anything personally. I do take that personally. I do think it's offensive.
I wouldn't take what he said personal. You know, offense needs consent to be taken. You have to consent to be offended. And I just, when he said it, I laughed. I'm not offended when people say, you know, bad things about black people. I don't know, maybe I'm desensitized or whatever, but it's just hilarious to me, mostly because they're speaking from ignorance. I don't see somebody who's highly educated, and usually that's who I respect. I usually respect highly intelligent people, and what he said, you could just tell by the way the dude was speaking, the Polynesian dude was speaking, it's just not highly intelligent. So to me, it's just an idiot talking. And it's just funny to me. But so I can't be offended by an idiot talking. You just, you know, if you were intelligent, I might, you know, take it into consideration to be offended. But if you're a complete idiot, it's like being mad at, you know, it's like allowing somebody with 20 followers on Twitter to upset your day.
I mean, the only way that we're going to survive as a people is that we work together and we understand that if there's one person that's oppressed, if there's one person that's judged, and I don't mean as a people, as black people, I mean as a people who live here on this earth. If there's one woman that's oppressed, if there's one child that's abused, if there's one person that's discriminated against based on some superficial bull, you know, then we're not going to make it.
Get a grip, man, on how the world really works.
He said, get a grip on how the world really works. And he's right. He's right. The world don't operate like how this dude, I mean, okay, this black dude here, he's correct, right? We should be, you know, considerate human beings to everybody's plight, problems, struggles, pressures, etc., etc. We should. However, this is not how the world works.
Okay, let's stop. Wait. We have plenty more to discuss.
So, yeah. Amazing clip right there in the race grift. So let's come back, right? Along that same lines, Nerd sent in this clip, and we're not going to play all of it because it's contains some violence here. But we have a looks like some sort of deranged homeless man. So we got the homeless guy here you see on the screen, looks to be on some sort of public transportation, train system, railway system, etc., etc. I think it's Chicago. Let's see what happens. And boom, you see that right there. The chokehold is applied by another black man. And this is the juxtaposition part of the show to the Jordan Neely incident, Daniel Penny, and I'm going to say, hey, look, this is how your people have reacted. And like I said, I'm not going to play the whole video. You guys can go watch this, but at some point they start beating the man while he's on the ground. So they have it's a couple of guys. Now he is resisting, you know, he's fighting back. But as you can see here, there is some tussling going on and fighting this guy. And he looks to be putting up a much better fight than Jordan Neely. I shouldn't have said that. Oh man. Anyway, so what do you make of, what are you supposed to say as someone who said, you know, the Jordan Neely incident was bad, etc., etc.? What do you say when black men are attacking another black man who's in a very similar situation as the Jordan Neely incident? You can't apply race to that. Therefore, it's not going to make headlines. It can't be politicized. Nobody can use it. The right can potentially use it, but nobody really cares. But you know, the Jordan Neely incident with Daniel Penny, I never looked at from a racial point of view, and a lot of people want to make it a race thing, and I don't think that it's fair to make it a race thing. And this is a great example of why you can't make it a race thing, because sometimes people act belligerent and citizens step in and do their best to, you know, handle the situation. It happens. It totally happens. I think the difference between this gentleman and Jordan Neely is, well, this dude, he looks like he's got a little bit of strength on him, put up a much bigger fight. Whereas Jordan Neely, when I first saw the video, I thought, yeah, that guy choked him out pretty bad and probably should have let him go, mostly because they had 3 guys against 1. And it just looked really, really bad. I'm not even going to hold you. I still stand 10 toes down and say that I think Daniel Penny should have restrained himself in that situation, based upon just a limited footage we have. Now, if we get more footage and it says others, I'm ready to switch at the drop of the dime. And I think that Daniel Penny is going to walk because we haven't seen that footage. Because if we had seen that footage, they probably would have released it already. And I think Daniel Penny is going to walk, and we're going to find out that Jordan Neely was actually a danger to people on that train, was acting belligerent, and Daniel Penny did nothing wrong. But when you have a chokehold on somebody until the guys have their have the guy's hands, there's no way he's going to fight back. And I think there's just a better way to handle that situation and restrain somebody without choking them. But yeah, as you can see here, black guys beat up another black guy who appears to be homeless and probably not mentally correct, not mentally well. And yeah, Nerd sent this in. He wanted me to talk about it, but what's there to say? Sometimes people get belligerent and citizens got to step in, no matter the race. But if this guy would have got choked out and he would have died, we wouldn't have heard about it. It would just been another day in Chicago. Then I do, yeah, apparently that was Chicago. Anyway, let's go back in the Grift bag. You guys can watch that video on your own time. Let's go right here. This video is funny. Let's pull this up. So it says here, because the boys had their haircut, she insisted she must have hers too. Right? So I believe this is probably like a grandparent. Grandparent is pretending to put the clippers. He's pretending to put the clippers to the girl's head because she saw her brothers, I'm assuming, had got their hair cut, and she's like, no, me too, which is a very common response from children. They always want to be included in things. I know that because I have a 2-year-old, and she acts very similar. If you do something, she wants to be included, and if you're not including her, all hell's gonna break loose. So then Africa Twitter responds and says, American parents will probably just assume she wants to be a boy and start feeding her gender transitioning drugs. The internet is unforgiving, absolutely unforgiving. But I think this is a great metaphor for how we're living our lives right now in America. In this case, the little girl would represent one of these T people, and us calling them by, a different set of pronouns are basically placating to their fantasy. So you see here, he's not actually cutting her hair. They're allowing this person, this child, to live this fantasy, and we're just pretending to go along with it. This is one of the greatest metaphors I've seen on that timeline in a long while that aligns with exactly what's going on. Like, do you really want to be the child who is that what you want as one of these people? Do you really want people to pander to you and give you fake concessions? Do you want fake treatment? Is that what you want? You don't want to be treated as a real person, how you really feel? Which means people are acting like a child.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Let's go back in the Grift bag. We got more to cover today. Hold on. Britney Griner. Let's go here.
Saw the I mean, it was great, but like honestly, come on, LA. Like we didn't sell the arena for BG. Like I expected more, you know, to be honest, right? Like it was great, it was loud, but how was it not a sellout? How was it not a sellout? But
so look, apparently the coach thought the game was going to sell out because Britney Griner is some sort of draw, I'm assuming, because of all of the Russia controversy. Nobody wants to watch women play basketball. It's just a fact of the matter. And it's proven time and time again, based upon their low ticket sales and the fact that NBA players have to subsidize them. But I think this really comes down to probably a failure on the organization's part. Your marketing efforts probably weren't that great in getting the word out to the LA people. If you wanted the stands to be filled, you probably should have gave the tickets away for free. Because who's going to watch that? And you know what's funny is I saw this. We're going to play the Kamala clip. We didn't see any highlights from the game. I didn't see any highlights of Britney Griner's game come across my screen. Let's try to find some. With Britney Griner. Let's see what comes up here. Okay, some old stuff. We don't have. All right, let's type in game. Where are the highlights? There are no highlights here. Okay, we have a first comeback game. Surprise appearance from the VP. We'll go through that. Where are the highlights? All of this was about nothing. It was about the fact that she was a political pawn and we were supposed to show up to a game based upon her getting caught in Russia with weed. But what about the game? So you guys care so much about the game, yet I can't find any highlights from the game. I don't see her shooting no shots. So maybe it was a really whack performance and the people knew it was going to be a whack performance. The only clip we have is this one under popular, and it's her on the bench. Britney Griner on the bench. That's all we got. We got this one still of her here shooting a free throw. It's no highlights. You know why? Because women's sports are boring. It's absolutely boring. Track and field's kind of cool sometimes. Shout out to my girl, Sha'Carri Richardson. So she wanted it to be filled, and I think that falls on the shoulders of the marketing department and of your organization and the league to promote and sell tickets. But you thought that people were going to show up just because she was Britney Griner is just kind of weird. Let's go to Kamala. Let's see what Kamala's doing over here. You know, Kamala's live on the Grift.
I'm so sweaty. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. You have inspired.
Is Britney on testosterone, and is that allowed in the WNBA?
So many people showing the courage and the dignity and the grace. And then for you to be back on the court, it's so incredible.
What? I don't understand this fake praise by Kamala. You know, what was so brave? What was so courageous? She went to jail. The lady went to jail for a crime and came home. Meanwhile, she was in Russia to play basketball. So when she came home, what's she going to do other than play basketball?
And the dignity and the grace. And then for you to be back on the court, it's so incredible.
The correct messaging here is, we're great to have you home. It's beautiful to see you here. playing again. We're glad to have you. Can you please help me in my can you please help the Biden campaign next year? That's all that needs to be said here.
And for all the people that look like us and need to know nothing is going to knock you down, that's good. That's real good.
That's good. That's real good. This is the most disingenuous compliment I've ever heard. She really forced this out and tried her hardest in front of the cameras to say something meaningful.
Thank you for all that you did in supporting Britney. Because I know that was rough and that was so difficult for you. A team is a team, that's family.
On behalf of the W and the players, tonight is a game, but we're also celebrating the return of one of our own, and what the Biden administration did to make that happen is like really, really important.
Biden administration didn't do much at all. I got to be honest with you. They didn't do much at all. They let her sit and sit and sit and sit before they made that trade.
I'm serving as the president of our union, and it was not easy. We know that it wasn't easy, but we just want to say thank you so much for everything that you did for us to be able to play against BG tonight.
You and the union, the members, were such an important partner to us in being able to bring her home.
Why? Why would the WNBA be important to her coming home? You traded them for the Merchant of Death. What the hell does the Merchant of Death have to do with the WNBA? They just be just so fake, yo.
You all made a huge difference, and I thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you.
Huge difference in what? Anyway, here's the facts. Here's the facts. The fact of the matter is, we saw this coming. We knew that the Biden campaign, Kamala and them, of course they sent a black woman in, right? Anyway, but we knew they would campaign off of getting Britney out. Britney was a political pawn. They're going to use Britney and going to try to use this to make themselves look good and say, hey, look, we brought Britney home. Let me make sure I'm there for her first game. You know, get the cameras, get the photo ops, all of that good stuff, get a little press. And despite having the VP there, still nobody shows up. And they still can't pack the stadium. Absolutely deplorable. But yeah, just fake and phony. But we knew they would campaign on this. I don't even want to talk about this anymore. I don't even have anything else to say. But we knew they would campaign and use Britney and saying, oh, look, Britney's home, wah, 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 and all this dumb shit. Let's go to relationships real fast. Then we're going to circle back to, is Karen a racist? We'll say, we got this clip right here. Hold on. You know we got to talk about relationships on this show.
If there's someone that's very, very young and goes into a marriage and has kids when they're like 18, 19, 20, a year into the relationship, it gets really, really abusive. Even though it might be rare from what you guys think.
It is.
If it would happen, what would you recommend for those people? Would they divorce, or do you want them to keep going in the relationship?
Keep going. You can't divorce, and that's not a real thing.
Even though it might be like physically abusive?
You got to endure. People are too...
You want to stick in the relationship?
People are just...
I
mean, look, people nowadays are just...
For anyone that might be in that situation, what would you recommend?
Okay,
I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you
what. It is such an extreme example that I can't give a prescription for what other people should do.
What about if two people get married, they have a kid, and then the wife starts cheating? Do you think they should divorce?
Absolutely. Jesus himself said in cases of adultery.
Did he just say crucifixion? Oh my God.
Divorce is
so you think that divorce is worse than physical abuse?
For the children?
Or cheating, sorry. You think that cheating is worse than physical abuse?
For the children, yes.
Absolutely. I think I'm not going to say this is worse.
Divorce is worse for the children.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't agree with the guys on this one. I'm going to have to go with the ladies. If you're in an abusive relationship, get out. I don't know how anybody could say. Now, I don't know what the statistics are on how often women are abused, et cetera, but I know it happens. And it is quite hypocritical to say that, a guy should leave if she cheats, but if he beats her, she should stay. Yeah, that's probably not good advice. The optics on that are terrible, absolutely terrible. But saying a woman should stay with a man if he beats her, where they do that at? What? This is it's really weird. I don't know how they would rationalize that. But then he said if she cheats, you know, crucifixion is the solution to that. I'm sure that's hyperbole. He doesn't mean that, you know, just to give him the benefit of the doubt there. But he does want to excoriate her for her actions, and basically say, hey, you know, divorce is allowable, you know, based upon adultery. But if he beats her, then yeah, I don't know what part of the manosphere this is, but I'm not a part of that part of the manosphere. Please don't include me in that part of the manosphere. I don't know anybody in my immediate circle that would give you that type of advice. But ladies, if a man is beating on you, inform somebody. I know they got hotlines for this. Call the police. Get out of that situation. I don't know. I don't study this stuff, so I don't know what the correct protocol is to get out safely. But if somebody's beating your ass, you probably want to get as far away from them as possible and immediately. So no, I don't condone. Fellas, please don't beat women. I don't even know why I shouldn't even have to tell people this. But yeah, but I do agree that, you know, if a woman cheats on you, you definitely should opt out of a relationship. I think in both situations, you opt out of the relationship. If a woman cheats on a man, you got to opt out of that relationship. If you beat a woman, opt out of that relationship. Now, here's where things get dicey. If a man cheats on a woman and he's the provider, should she leave? Now, on that one, I don't know. I don't know. You might want to sit your ass down somewhere, you know, depending on how great of a provider he is. If he's a mediocre provider, right? For example, if he meets all of your needs, takes care of you, you know, and you know, you got your pedicure, your manicure, you're going on vacations, you're fed, and you don't got to work and all this stuff. And, you know, pretty much all you got to do is be a mom. You know, and he gets a little something, little nookie on the side every once in a while. You know, I think you got to let it slide, ladies. Now, if he's not providing and, you know, he treats you bad and, you know, he don't take you out and he's still cheating. Okay, yeah, you might want to leave him because he's not exactly, you know, doing their job. Right. But yeah, I think that's the only way the situation gets a little dicey and doesn't have any moments of hypocrisy or bigotry. Let's go back in the Grift bag. I want to run through this stuff so we can open up phone lines. 202-596-5631. 202-596-5631. We're going to go BBC, and we're going to talk about are white people oppressed and the whole Karen situation. So let's go BBC first. And I'm not talking about, you know what.
Welcome to BBC Verify. Like you said, we are a team of investigative journalists here at the BBC. We are also a new brand, and we are a physical location above the newsroom in London. And the point of the team, as you said, is to verify video, to fact check, to counter disinformation, and to analyze really complex stories so we can get to the...
So in case you're not familiar, this is some 1984 George Orwell Ministry of Truth situation being launched here.
Truth of what's going on. Why does this matter? Well, mistruths can cause really serious harm to society and to the people in them. And so we want to show you our workings and really help you understand how we get to the bottom of what.
So BBC, the same company that was telling you we should lock down, mask up, and get jabbed up, is now going to be the arbiter of truth. Make that make sense.
What's happening, and I'm going to give you a bit of a flavour of the kind of work that the team are doing. So we're able to look at maps to geolocate specific situations, stuff that's going on. This is just a map of central London where we are now, and this is New Broadcasting House where I'm speaking to you from. And it's not so important perhaps for the centre of London, but it is when we're analysing war zones or what's happening in hard to reach places. And there's a story on the BBC website today. It's looking at Russian fortifications on the front lines in Ukraine, and you can read more about it there. And there are other ways that we also are able to interrogate what's going on, including on social media. I have some undercover accounts that I've set up for the BBC's Americast podcast.
Okay, so this is supposed to be a BBC Verify, aka giving you the truth. Yet, one of the first things they do is they set up fake accounts. How about what says truth like a bunch of fake accounts?
And we use these kinds of undercover accounts, and these are the characters that the accounts belong to be able to really understand polarization online and how what's happening on our social media feeds and what we're.
What says getting the truth like some undercover accounts? Come on, bro.
Being recommended and pushed to us can affect.
It gets worse.
All of us. And they don't offer us a totally exhaustive insight into what's going on, but they can help us understand just how social media works. And then there's also investigating other mistruths and the real world harm they can cause.
Watch this.
At the moment, I'm investigating the UK's conspiracy theory movement. I'm trying to understand more about how it's evolved and intensified since the pandemic here in the UK.
So the BBC Verify is targeting, well, at least according to what she wants, right, is she's pointing at UK conspiracy movements, right? So the conspiracy theorists, the people who are going to have critical thinking, the people who are going to not trust but verify.
I'm looking at the alternative media that finds itself at the heart of this movement.
Alternative media. See, they're laying out exactly who their targets are, who their enemies are. And it's the conspiracy movements, then it's alt media. So they're trying to basically what they want to do is discredit alt media.
And a conspiracy theory newspaper that's a part of that as well. I'm looking at the way that alternative media is funded.
Who's putting the money into this?
I'm looking at its impact on local communities. I'm looking at its connections with far-right figures.
And right there, she mentions far-right figures. And that's what I was talking about earlier, where I said there are barriers created, especially for impoverished communities and black communities, because everything that is good for them could potentially be labeled as far right. The thoughts of a capitalist will be labeled far right, especially if you trust somebody like BBC. So this is what you'll get here, where they target, far right figures and far right people are labeled as the enemy. That's not verification. That's what's the term I'm looking for here? It's not verification. This is more like they're like framing. They're framing here. They're giving a one-sided view of things. So it's basically like, we're going to tell you what to think. That's what this is. This is controlled think. That's what this is. This is controlled think. It's not BBC Verify. It's BBC mental control. And you will think how we want you to think and believe that it is the truth. That's what this app is going to do.
And also it's foreign links. That's for a podcast series that will be coming out in June. It's called Mariana in Conspiracy Land, and it will be available on BBC Sounds, Radio 4, asking that question, could January the 6th or a German coup attempt like we saw there ever happen here in the UK?
And then they obviously throw J6 in there, which has a lot of nuance to that story.
So there's a real range of journalism BBC Verify will be doing, and you'll be able to see it online, on iPlayer, across BBC News, on your televisions and radio, so do look out for it. Welcome.
Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So look out for that. I believe you should probably look for something like that to happen here in America. You're going to see CNN Verify or something to that effect. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty. And then we'll open up phone lines. Love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. We got to pull up Matt Walsh's tweet here. Matt Walsh says, Karen is a racial slur. If I derisively refer to random black women I find annoying as Shaniqua, or whatever everyone would consider it, racist. The Karen slur is used to dismiss and degrade white women. That's the whole point. Now, I would like to say that this is subjective. And, if I was around Matt Walsh and we saw some black girl acting absolutely ghetto and he said, look at Shaniqua, well, I would laugh. I'd be like, that's hilarious. I would tell him, I'd be like, yo, that's racist, but it's fucking hilarious, right? And it's racist because mainstream thought says that it's racist, but I wouldn't take it as like offensive racist. I'd be like, God damn, look at Shaniqua. I'd probably be right there along with him if she was acting a damn fool. But I would also expect him to do the same thing if we ran into a Karen. I would say, oh my God, look at this Karen. And I would expect him to laugh. I wouldn't expect him to be offended. Also, I don't look at Karen, again, personally, as a white thing. I've called black women Karens before, unbeknownst to thinking about race. Like race didn't come to my mind. I'm just like, yo, you wilding out. You acting like a Karen right now. And, they know what I meant when I said that. But does the word Karen cover white women? Yes, I think it does. Mainstream thought does point to particularly white women. And this is the thing that everybody's going to be offended about. So let's go to this tweet from Schoon here as we roll through some clips here in regards to this topic. And Schoon says black liberals will find racism in a room full of black people. Black conservatives won't find racism at a Klan rally. And I think this is a great point because this is hypocrisy all around, where he's right. We got black conservatives that say like all these great things about the Klan. And I'm just like, oh, okay, like fine, whatever. Right. And then again, on the liberal side of things, where they find racism everywhere, which leads us to our next tweet from Bryson Gray, which is here. Well, he's got a couple of tweets actually. And this is sort of my take on things. He says, if you were black, I would have mistook you for BLM, right? Because everything's just racist. So let's go to this clip and let's hear what this girl says. Kingsley Cortez. Now, I'm not familiar with her. This is the first time I'm seeing her. Let's see what she says.
No one wants to talk about it, especially on the right, but there is 100% a racial caste system that currently exists in this country. I mean, this woman was villainized. She was called a burglar, every name in the book, right? Because she's the caricature of a Karen, which is a slur for white women who dare to...
Is it a slur?
Complain about the degeneracy that they see in their communities. No one wants to talk about it, especially on...
I got to listen back again just to...
the right, but there is 100% a racial caste system that currently exists in this country. I mean, this woman was villainized. She was called a burglar, every name in the book, right? Because she's the caricature of a Karen, which is a slur for white women who dare to, complain about the degeneracy that they see in their communities.
No, that's not what Karen means. No, that's not what Karen means. Karen is like, somebody who's calling, customer service and just being a bitch. That's what a Karen is, not talking about degeneracy. Anyway, she says here in the tweet, there is a racial caste system that currently exists in this country. If you look like Daniel Penny or the hospital worker who purchased the city bike in NYC, you're at the bottom. I don't know about that. Now, according to the mainstream media, white men aren't exactly the most popular in this country, according to the mainstream media. However, that's changing and rapidly too. CNN is now looking to cover a less biased, I guess you can say, or a more middle ground program, because ratings suck, which goes to show the power of the white dollar or the white attention. So even they're going to have to, fix the way they talk about things. Also, before I get into some of my other thoughts, I don't think it's about villainizing white men. On the surface, that's really what it is. But if we wanted to play this game of who's the biggest victim, according to mainstream media, it would have to be men. Specifically, cis, heterosexual men. Because it's actually okay to be white if you are one of the T people or one of the B people or L people, a Democrat, a socialist. Then it's perfectly okay to be white. The nuance is the far right white man or the right wing white man, a conservative white man, and even a conservative black man. And so when we're looking at this thing at the caste system, it's like, okay, let's just say it's the white man and the black man. Well, who is at the top of this caste system? I'm gonna have to say white men. And it's because they control these spaces, both on the left and both on the right. And black men are truly subject to the rules of these spaces, both written and unwritten. For example, if I'm a black man and I'm on the left, and this is how the Starbucks video went viral, there are certain things you can and cannot say as a black man. Otherwise, you will be, quote unquote, extradited, right? Or kicked out, right? If you're on the right, I've had somebody tweet this recently. It's like, you show any idea that you're pro-black and, well, you're kicked out. You just don't get any kind of favor. But if you can say, hey, I don't see skin color and you're a black guy and I'm talking against reparations and all these things, well, then now you're a hero and the right-wing conservatives will prop you up. So, when we look at this caste system, it's like white men still write the rules. Let's talk about specifically on the right. There's a certain posture you have to have when it comes to race conversations, or frankly, you just won't be popular. They just, you'll be, if you're dead center, you just won't be heard of. And obviously this goes for probably anybody of any race or sex or whatever. But if we're talking about black men and white men, black men don't write the rules of the right and black men don't write the rules of the left. You're not allowed to say on the right, for example, what if I was a black man and I said, hey, you guys, you're no longer white. You're just American. You're going to get some people that agree with that. But some people are like, nah, bro, it's okay to be white. And I would agree with that personally. But if, we talk about, hey, I'm proud to be black, you're going to get crickets or like, why does it always have to be a black thing? Or if you bring up reparations, why do you care about reparations? It's that sort of thing. So, and then, obviously the majority of these guys in Congress are white men. So white men are not at the bottom of the caste system if they're calling their shots, both in the political sphere, in the media sphere, and the financial sphere, is all white men. So we can't say that white men are at the bottom of the caste system. That's just, it's asinine and ignorant if you ask me. Because, who are the gatekeepers? If we're talking about the right, who's the gatekeepers? Daily Wire, Glenn Beck at the Blaze, whoever runs Fox. What other outlets are there? Run them down. Anybody name me one black media outlet on the right that I can go to and get $1 million contract from? I'll wait. It doesn't exist. These are white created spaces. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It just is what it is. This is the white man's country. He stole this shit fair and square. So it's the white man's world. at least as far as the Western side of things are concerned, they colonized this shit. This is his shit. Now, just because a few media outlets and a few corporations want to try and tarnish the image of the straight white man does not put him at the bottom of the caste system, because at the end of the day, the white man cut the check for that message.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
He cut that check. White man cut the check to label white man as bad. And you gotta ask yourself, well, why would he do that? Well, because a lot of this stuff has absolutely nothing to do with race and has everything to do with class. And they go, how do we keep the poor poor? Well, let's make the poor white man fight with the poor black man, and we can eat off of both of them. So while they're fighting over, who is struggling the most, we're going to eat off of this war. Divide and conquer all over again. Do I have another clip in here? Let me see if I have another clip in here. Another clip with tweets about this topic before I open up the phone lines. So let's just look at this thread, because Bryson says, if you were black, I would have mistook you for BLM. And this guy, who's probably a nobody, says Bryson hates when white people defend themselves. And then he responds, I say this thing to black people. Do I hate when black people defend themselves too? Then this guy says, whatever account this is, except black people are not oppressed and white people are oppressed in the country they built. That doesn't seem fair, especially when they didn't ask for it. Now, this has to be like some troll account, I'm sure, some right-wing troll account or something like that. But, is it fair to say this is how conservatives think? No, I don't think that's fair. I don't think anybody with a functioning brain, anybody who's got a subscription to Master Focus would say anything like this. You can't on one hand say black people are not oppressed, then say white people are oppressed. Like what is oppression now? Even when somebody says something bad about you, that's oppression. Is that oppression? When CNN says something bad about you, is that oppression? Like where are we right now? And it says, in a country that they built. I mean, I think the white man and black man were forced to build this country for the aristocracy, but that's enough history lessons for today. But to say one group is not oppressed, but another one is, when you zoom out and I look at it, I think we're all oppressed, mostly from the Federal Reserve and the way that they're operating our economy. They can just choose when to just change prices of things. Like, they literally have their thumbs on our neck. Like, literally, the Federal Reserve goes, hey, let's raise interest rates, and it just fucks our lives up. The price of gas and chicken and all this shit goes up, and it's just like we're fighting over race. So Bryson responds, he says, black people are not oppressed, but white people are. Stop crying victim. And again, when you look in these threads, you don't exactly see anybody notable making comments, right? Look at these comments, right? Like, no matter how asinine it is, and that's why I don't really apply, too much brain power, because, when you look in these threads and you see these accounts, they're all anon accounts, which could be, any fucking body or not a body, troll, kid, man, woman, Democrat, foreign agent from China or Ukraine. You just never know who this is. I mean, some of the most prominent voices next to Elon are not even American, right? They're in Malaysia or the UK, some goddamn, we're not even fucking American. And some of they're, Saudi Arabian. We got black people from Saudi Arabia who moved to the UK who are now U.S. voices. Try to make sense of this shit. So the conversations that are being had are not coming from any honest point of views, anybody who's actually a real American. So you can't really tell us what America's life like unless you're an American. But a lot of these people are here on visas, if they even are here. Shit's really weird, bro. But again, coming back to this clip here about, white people being the new caste system. If you're not careful, you're going to fall into the situation where you're going to become the new BLM and you're going to get grifted. You're going to get grifted. And not only that, all you're doing is making those groups like Patriot Front stronger and groups like it. These so-called white supremacist, white nationalist groups, you're just going to make them stronger. You really make it easy for them to recruit when you have messages like this being spread on a large platform like Timcast. I think that this lady here, Kingsley Cortez, I think she's misinformed, misled, a victim of propaganda. She's also, if you look, she's also young, right? She's young. She doesn't know shit. She's just a young girl. But a lot of these voices, they're grifty. They're grifty voices. So they know, what's going to get attention, what's going to get clicks, what's going to get engagement. They got to play the white female pick-me role, et cetera, et cetera. I'd love to have a conversation with her and, set her straight. Mostly on the fact that, I don't want to have a conversation with her about black people. I want to have a conversation with her about how dangerous her rhetoric is for white people. That's what I'd love to have a conversation with her about, because you've just traded in your victor card for a victim card, which is the same thing I've told black people not to do. Do not come out here and say we are oppressed and we are victims and this is very detrimental, and leaves you open for parasites and people to come in and exploit your problems. And this is, really dangerous rhetoric, especially going into an election that's easily winnable. The election this next election is a layup. It's an absolute layup. But when you keep having people speak like this, it sends mixed messages to various types of voters that may want to come over to your side, may want to be voices. You lose them when you say dumb shit like this. Mostly because, anybody with common sense wouldn't say something like this. Anybody who understands our world understands things like this. What you could have said was, if you want to be right and exact, you could say, Daniel Penny choked out a black man in New York City, and he's being unfairly treated by a Democrat-run system. And that would be correct. But I could also point to all the young black men who are incarcerated on Rikers Island that have been destroyed, lives been destroyed by a Democrat-run city. Like, this thing can go all different type ways, when really the fact of the matter is New York City is just poorly run. And Democrats tend to have poorly run cities. And that way you could have stayed on message. You still, didn't have to bring race into this thing. And that's really what they want. They want this next election to be about race. They want the racial divide. And right now, conservatives are fumbling the bag. But here we are. Let's open up phone lines. 202-596-5631. 202-596-5631. We're in some dangerous waters here, people, when white people are talking about they are the lowest on the caste system. Are you serious? Jonah Ryan said, called you Malacca. You don't look like VP Harris. P-Dub Designs question. Sons of the American Revolution and Society of Mayflower Descendants are organizations whose members trace ancestry to pilgrims. Are there any similar organizations for African Americans tracing ancestry to slaves? I think so. I don't know. My family has traced our lineage back.
Call from
Goldstein.
Hotep Goldstein, what up, man?
Happening.
What's good, bro? Talk to me, man.
Let me tell you, bro. Hey,
what do we have here with Matt Walsh yet again? And not just him, but the entire Conservative Inc. X division talking about the oppression of the white man. Well, they're just tapping into the outrage industrial complex. These motherfuckers ain't got no intention of actually solving any problems. Most of your pharmaceutical companies and physicians, they also tap into their own version of the industrial complex they got going on because they know if they cure the problem or actually made strides to fix anything, their paycheck dries up. And that's all this is about. The outrage industrial complex right now is the number one grift.
The outrage industrial complex. Write that one down, y'all.
These fools are tapping into rage. That's the easiest way to make money. Rage. It outweighs pharmaceuticals. It outweighs whatever the military got going on with their version of it. Rage is the new shit. And I'm going to tell you like this. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. If you are oppressed, whether actually or perceived, if you are oppressed because you allow yourself or your collective to be that, it has nothing to do with the oppressors. It has everything to do with the fact that you ain't willing to put your foot in their ass if you perceive the oppression to be going down.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think there's a level of consent with oppression. It goes back to what Ye said, where he said slavery was a choice. I think there is a level of, or at least some degree of consent, because like I said, the only reason why government is here is because we don't know how to get along with each other. And if people organized and act like adults, we could probably get somewhere and make the government obsolete.
All day. Look, you don't really hear too many stories about, a Native American slave trade. Why? Because they were willing to fight and die until the last motherfucker to make sure that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
And so that's all we have here. White industrial complex, or the outrage industrial complex is tapping into white rage the same way it did to formulate all of what we see as far as this BLM movement and shit that we see nowadays. They're following the same story arc. All you got to do, if you don't believe this to be true, is just go back 15 years and watch the story arc of both the black folks and the white folks. They're following that same story arc.
Yeah.
It's the same playbook.
It's the same playbook, bro.
Yeah, people need to wake up to that shit. Quit biting in. Look, I know you said that this broad who was on Timcast is young and naive and possibly grifty, and all of that might be true. But I also believe that people like Tim, they're past that point. This is an agenda, and he's a part of it. Matt Walsh is a part of it. All of these people that people on the right see as these voices of change and these voices that are actually doing some shit, they're all a part of this agenda. They're just playing the foil to the left.
Yeah.
But they all want this shit to go in the same direction. I mean, look, you got dudes talking about boycotting Bud Light. What the fuck did that do? All that did was just tap in again to the outrage industrial complex, but still selling beer. And a year from now, all the people they lost, most of them will be back drinking that piss because they're alcoholics and they don't give a damn ultimately about the punk on the beer can. All they really care about is getting that fix. Y'all boycotting some shit you wasn't even supposed to be doing in the first place if you are upstanding Christian citizen or whatever, right?
Go off.
So, I mean, all it is just they tapping into shit. You want to boycott something? You want to make a change? You want to boycott something that's effective and you talking about holding my dollars is the best way to do that? Boycott paying them taxes next year. Get Kid Rock to strap up his W-2 and shoot holes in that shit instead of a 12-pack. Right? Because it's all your money is going to shit that you don't agree with. The war in Ukraine, all this other weird ass shit they got on with the T-ppl, and a whole variety of other things.
Yeah.
You want to withhold your money? Withhold it on the state and federal level as far as in taxes is concerned, and see how fast they get right. Because I'll tell you this, we ain't at the point where they just gonna come out guns blazing and locking motherfuckers up. We ain't there yet.
Yeah.
But if y'all keep playing, we will be there shortly.
Bars.
That's it.
Yeah, I appreciate you for calling in, bro.
All right, bro. You take it easy.
Hotep Bill. Hotep Goldstein. Rage Industrial Complex. That's what this is. This is dangerous. I don't like seeing this stuff, man. I got to be honest with you. I'm like, what? You're the oppressed now? And I just see the play, man. It's just let's argue over race. The same thing the right said they don't see.
Call from
Rudy the Vet.
Rudy the Vet Russo on the line. Rudy, what's up, man? Talk to me, bro.
What's up, HJ? How you doing today, brother?
Life is good. Life is good, man. How you?
Hey, man, you missed Sonny. Sonny was on fire, man. All I could think about while she was going off today was, imagine if she was in the room with Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, dude.
She's a firecracker, boy. I caught the end of it.
With her, man. Yeah, I know. I heard you jump in there. I just, I hit you on, man. I finally got Elon let me back out of jail, man. So, I hit you on Twitter, tried to let you know she was up there, dude. Dude, she was rolling today, dude. That's just great, man.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna piggyback off of Hotep Goldstein what he just said, man.
Okay.
It's like, man, but Matt Walsh and them. Listen, all right. So, Ibram X. Kendi writes his leftist racist book, right?
Yeah.
And then you got Ben Shapiro. Listen to what he said. Racism, the only thing to combat discrimination is future discrimination and more discrimination. And then and then you get Charlie Kirk and you get your Michael Knowles, and they go around at these college campuses, and all that girl is right there is the perfect example of a brainwashed conservative student that just steps off a college campus and be like, where, man, it's the white people are oppressed. Man, if you're born in America, period, you're not oppressed by anybody but like you said, by the Federal Reserve. That's it. That's it, man. I don't care. I'm so sick of this shit. It's stuck, man. Shapiro and the Daily Wire and Crowder, man, they are all 150% on board the divide train, man. Like Goldstein said, man, he hit that shit right on it. Man, you guys have been on fire today, man. You were throwing out great points. Goldstein just threw out some great points, man. It's all about divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Like that white dude, that white dude in the video with the dreads. You know what I would have said? She said, why you wear your hair like that? Because I like it. You can't wear your hair like get the fuck out of my face, and kept on stepping, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, don't even engage with people like that. Why would you even engage with somebody like that, man?
Yeah, I wouldn't have engaged.
From the academic standpoint, the leftist virus, like all the academics and all the but you still have your Shapiro, the academics and the teachers, they control the campuses, but then you still get your supposedly right-wing Republican groups and Turning Point USA. All they are is outrage mob and victim mentality for the right, man. You know what I'm saying? They're just as much of the divide and conquer as the left is, man.
Yeah,
Just
it's like
much, man.
it's like we wake up, I check my Twitter, and I'm like, let's see what everybody's mad about today, because everybody's got a complaint, and that's the grift.
Yeah, you know what? All I do is jump up there first thing in the morning, and I throw out there, hey, today's date is such and such, and the mainstream media and your government will lie to you today, man. And then I comment here or there, man. But like you said, why are you going to argue with people on Twitter, man? Why are you going to argue with nameless, faceless people on Twitter, man?
Yeah.
Because when there was a few years ago, I did have Instagram, right? Back in 2016, to the point where I was getting so upset by it, right, that I was shooting my real address out and was like, "Come fight me, motherfucker!" Just shooting my real 100% legitimate address out to people talking about, if you think you're that tough, come fight me. And people be like, that's not your real. That's why I gave it up for the longest time, man. I gave up social media for the longest time because I had got to the point where I'm really on social media throwing out my 100% legitimate address, telling motherfuckers come find me and come fight me, man.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's man, the dividing, and I mean, I'm above that, man. I'm above that. I know where I've been, I know what I've done, and I'm above that shit, man. And Matt Walsh and that whole deal, man, I can't stand that Daily Wire shit, man. I can't stand that. I can't stand them, dude. I want all alternative voices, man. I don't want to hear them people, man. And the thing is, you put a white guy like me up, if I could get some backing, or I could, or a brother like you, we might be able to unify the right, man. You know what I'm saying? We might be able to unify the right, because like even like when Sonny was going off on Tim Scott, there was a lot of brothers and sisters in there like, yo, give him a chance, because we're going to see if he's a true conservative. Because I've always considered the 4 or 5 real conservative senators. I always considered Tim Scott. We're about to see if he's a rhino or is he conservative. Like Sonny said, is he going to bring up real black issues? Because the one lady was like, I've talked to him behind the scenes, and he's really down for real conservative black issues. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. You know what I'm saying? Is he a rhino? Is he just, I'm just going to toe the party line? Or is he going to go out there and rumble for black folks for real? And if he does rumble for black folks for real, and he joins on that Trump ticket, that shit's unbeatable. But if he gets up there like Sonny says and does that song and dance like she was talking about, he ain't pulling no votes, man.
Yeah, nah.
He ain't pulling no votes, man.
Nah, he's not going to jeopardize his
he's not
going to jeopardize his chances with the right by pulling anything black into his platform. I couldn't see him doing that.
No, I mean, but that's the whole thing. He should, though, dude. You really want to truly unite the right, man. You gotta bring the black conservatives and listen. And it's like so you get the conservatives right. They're like, I'm family and think locally, and then they get well, why do black people come? They're just thinking about their communities like you're thinking about yours. They're thinking locally.
Right.
And that dude on Sunday, man, that dude from Chicago that Sonny had up there, that Devin dude, who was basically like, man, we're hijacking the GOP. We're going to take Chicago back. And that dude, man, if they can pull that shit off, man, they'll have such political power on a national stage, man. I'm pulling for them, man, because if we don't unite as Americans, man, we're in a lot of fucking trouble, dude.
We're going to be in a lot of trouble. You know, Caesar figured out a long time ago, if you want to stay emperor, keep the people fighting amongst themselves, and they'll be too busy fighting you. So.
Yeah, and it's the sheeple, man. It's the sheeple that are hurting. It's not the people, the sheeple.
Yeah.
Them damn sheeple, man. They're mindless sheeple, man. And like I said before, man, I don't give a fuck what anybody in England has to say about America, man. Like I told you, you know, it's cool that you went on Piers Morgan, man, but fuck that guy, dude. Fuck that fucking British asshole. Stick your tea and crumpets up your fucking ass. He fucking got away from you for a reason, you piece of shit. Shut up and stay over there and worry about the politics in your own goddamn country, man. Stay out of mine, man.
Rudy the Fat Russo.
I love you, brother. I love you, man. Hotep and build, y'all. Hotep and build.
Hotep and build. Oh, my God. You know, I think a lot of people here are affected by bots, too. You know, there's some media outlets here. I'm not going to name no names, but there's some media outlets here that appear to be large, and 80% of their traffic comes from Thailand. And they use that to boost the algorithm. So, you know, you're looking at some of these media outlets, you think they're super popular and people are checking in, and that's what gives you like this false sense of credibility in your mind. But the truth of the matter is it's fake traffic. And, yeah.
Call from
Strong Dad.
Yo, what up, Strong Dad? Protocol on the line.
What's good?
What's good, my brother? Talk to me, man.
Hey, man. I'm loving the Oppression Olympics. It's been really great. You know, I feel like Matt Walsh has been shooting some 3-pointers. You know what I'm saying?
He shoot from half court.
Yeah, from a half court, full court. Fuck that, full court, full court. Listen, I don't even know where to start. First of all, there is an equivalent of a black Karen. It's called niggas. Everybody knows that already. I mean, come on now. You know, Chris Rock, bless his face and soul. You know, he had a skit about brothers and niggas.
Yeah.
There's even a saying. It's called niggas ain't shit.
Yeah.
Black people don't. You know what I'm saying? So it really is. It really is. They're just trying to, you know, make some money and get them Grift tokens. they're not trying to win. Like I said last time, they're not trying to win. If they was, they wouldn't even be worrying about this kind of stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I actually wanted to just take a second to just go back to a issue that we were talking about before, about the T-ppl and all these things, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, man. You looking at the way they're trying to manipulate our children. Now they're trying to manipulate men into falling in love with T-ppl on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
I have a serious issue with that. You know what I'm saying? We got to create a new type of narrative that can combat this without us getting canceled. I'm trying to make video after video about this stuff. I just get taken down, left and right. What can a man say? Like, I'm asking your opinion. Like, how are we supposed to stem this tide outside of homeschool?
You can't. You see, sometimes you have to let something rise in order for it to fall. And I think it's going to have a meteoric crash. And I said this on the Joe Rogan Experience, where I said at some point men are going to want natural women because, fake titties don't feel the same as real ones. It's just the fact of the matter is, and, fellas are going to start to get, and I think some of that artificial movement led to the T movement, right? So women getting all these operations, etc. Now,
the BBL.
Yeah. Now you got the men coming in and doing it for the transition. So you've sort of already tricked them into liking artificial things. And now one's just going to have a schlong attached to it, which is, a little bit of a caveat.
Oh my God.
But I don't think there's anything technically, to be honest with you, I think the only thing that can do anything about this movement now is women. I mean, the feminist movement born all this stuff. They birthed this stuff. So
we need them to lead the charge.
This is on them. They're not replacing men. They're replacing women.
That's right.
So women and you're going to see a lot of women are giving pushback, especially in the sports, especially with the bathroom situation. What's really what's really strange is black women, because this is what it's going to take is black women. But I think they already took care of that issue.
Black women have been co-opted already.
Word. And remember, this came out of BLM, so they co-opted black women's minds first, knowing that was the only Karen they had to worry about in the future when this stuff started taking away space from women. They're like, oh, don't let the black women get started up. So let's co-opt their minds first. And you saw that, how hands off. I'm looking at some of my black female elders, and I'm like, what you think about this stuff? And they're just throwing their hands up. They're not even saying no. They're just throwing their hands up and avoiding the conversation because they see, the Gabrielle Unions of the world and the Rihannas of the world and all their favorite icons being accepting of this behavior, so they're just going to go along with it.
I think, man, that hurts my heart. But back to the court.
Uh-huh.
First of all, respect to Rudy the vet. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm a military brat, so anyone who has any form of service, I have the ultimate respect for. You know what I'm saying? And he said something that was important to me, and that's that if you were born in this country, you're no longer oppressed. And you know what? After everything I've been through, I agree. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. You know what I'm saying? And this is coming from someone who has marched and who has, used some of the most popular rhetoric, who's been, coached by some of our best. I 100% agree. When I look at, my station in life, I could have very much accepted that, I'm black and that's it. I'm black and I'm screwed. But it's not about that anymore. It's not about that. We all have way too much in common to fall for that. I feel like, they keep trying to push this oppression Olympics because, it's like when you said they're trying to separate the poor black man and the poor white man, you're not lying. You're not lying. I've never found more in common, outside of other black men than with poor white men. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
We work hard. we worry about our family. We worry about the growth of our family. We're always trying to be the vanguard for protection, and we're constantly attacked from every single angle, even, and right in between.
Yeah.
It's at this point, at this point, we all have to really start finding better ways to work together. We have to start understanding each other more. If you see a black man saying, I'm sick of getting denied jobs, it's not hard to say, well, it could be the perception of you. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many things that we can do to come together. And as far as this homeschool thing, I know I'm all over the place. I'm painting the house right now. As far as this homeschool thing, I was homeschooled. My mother, she was military, so when we started traveling, I chose homeschool.
Wow.
And I'm telling you right now, and this was when you could choose a curriculum. They gave you a long list of things you could do, the requirements, and then your choices. And so I had my requirements and things I could, pick to be part of my growing curriculum. When I took the active places to get into college, I passed easily. It wasn't no thing to get into college off of homeschool. Homeschooling isn't a hard thing. I know a lot of people, some of the conversation is that, it's really hard. What if you work, this and that? I just want people to think, one, you should want to be financially free. So that should cover that issue right there. What if you have to work? Well, you should be trying to employ yourself at some point or already right now. So that's the first thing. But once you get to that, if you have a good wife in your home, she should be the leader of that. You are the, you make sure you facilitate her, and you make sure she has the tools to homeschool the children effectively. We used to homeschool. That's what we did before schooling came around.
Right. Yeah. So true. So true. I mean, it was a time in this country where going to school wasn't even a thing. If somebody had a 5th grade education, that was like equivalent to college.
Yeah, exactly. It is not as hard as people think. There are lots of homeschool groups to send children to, but really, that is probably the most important thing outside of parents. Happy Father's Day coming up to Father's Month. Sorry, my bad. Father's Month coming up. You know what I'm saying? We definitely need to make that a thing for sure. I've been all over my socials talking about Father's Month, trying to get people on it. Somebody called me a degenerate. But it really is. It really is. I want y'all to do more than just consider donating to homeschool initiatives. I want y'all to.
Why I think Father's Month won't take off? Because there's more money in being a victim.
Yeah.
It's more money. It's more money in complaining about the rainbow agenda next month than there is in co-opting it.
Yeah.
And it's easier. And it's easier. See, it takes work to create and co-op. It don't take no work to complain.
And they love complaining, man. They complaining about, beer cans and clothes and Target and stuff. And man, y'all, that stuff is not really that important. That stuff is a distraction to prevent you from galvanizing a vote. That's really all it is. There's no way any of these things actually matter. Not only that, but think about all of the people losing their jobs because of it. People are losing. You got vendors who can't sell their beer no more because people are more concerned about that than they are about what's happening to this country. I think, Jeff and Sonny and a few other people have said some really poignant things on that topic. We have to come together. What is the most important thing right now? What is the most important thing? Children, parents, that's it. Children, parents, the future. Nothing else is important, y'all. We got to stop this bickering bullshit, stop getting engaged in this. I know even I be getting engaged in some whack shit all the time. It's not worth it, y'all. It's not worth it. I've seen the other side, and the other side, the grass is definitely greener. We got to work together, y'all. That's really all I got to say. Much love. Hotep.
Strong Dad Protocol and checking Hotep and Bill, my brother.
Hotep and Bill.
Those are always the 3 fire callers. Hotep Goldstein, Rudy the Vet Russo, and Strong Dad Protocol. They usually call in daily. Always great points. I know some of you guys are trying to get in on the lines. The phone lines are now open, 202-596-5631. Go ahead and get in here. We're going to hang around. Usually the show, we're here at 2 p.m. daily Eastern time, and we usually run till about 4. And some days I've run till 5, so we run a little bit long sometimes. Today looks like a 4 p.m. day. But we're going to cover callers and I'm going to get out of here.
Call from
Vader.
Vader, what up, man?
Yeah, man. Yo, this is crazy. I'm a new subscriber, bro, but I like what you're saying, dude.
Thank you.
I like
Welcome.
what you're saying a lot. And, dude, it's just crazy. I'm seeing all this stuff on Twitter and even, tt-ppl, who I like, it just seems like they're grifting, unethically. I don't know what it is, but I swear, it just seems like a psyop, man. Every time I get on Twitter, End Wokeness, Clown World, all these accounts are just they're trying to make it seem like black people are out here really trying to attack every white person they see, digging up violent videos from 10 years ago. And I'm just I don't know why they're doing this, because if they were smart, they would literally just have a huge Republican party. Black people are more Republican than Democrat. Most of the time I see most of the people I know are not the only reason they aren't Republicans is because they think they're racist. And you talk to them about gun laws, you talk to them about government involvement and how much they want to how much government should be involved in their businesses and stuff, and they're like, nope, they shouldn't be involved. We should have the Second Amendment. I'm like, dude, you're a Republican,
yeah.
And they're like, nah, they're racist. I'm just like, bro, no. if they didn't spend as much time shilling out all of this nonsense and trying to put us at odds and play these identity politics nonsense, they would have a bunch of black people in the Republican Party, bro. So,
well, you got to understand that just like the left envelops their constituents in propaganda, the right does too. It's just that sometimes you have some bad actors. You mentioned these different accounts like Clown World and Wokeness, and I don't want to speak particularly to those accounts because I don't know those accounts specifically, but accounts like that could be foreign actors. They could be Chinese. It could be just some dude in Malaysia who just wants to earn an income off of rage, right? And people here are manipulated by some dude who's only thinking about himself. Some dude in Thailand, some dude in China, some dude in Brazil, some dude in Russia, Ukraine, wherever these people are coming from. It doesn't even have to be an American running these accounts. They watch Twitter. They see what works, what doesn't, what makes people upset. Again, rage industrial complex, as Goldstein has coined. And those clicks, and then they just turn around and they sell T-shirts or something and make a ton of money. We saw this happen, and that's why I said we saw this happen with BLM. I remember when there was this huge BLM account on Instagram, and they were selling a ton of merch. And then somebody ended up being able to dox the account, found out it was just some white woman getting paid off of black folks, right? So, and that's why I said watching the right do it, it's almost like I'm watching a rerun. I'm just seeing, the same thing happen again, except to white people. I'm like, damn, y'all about to really get a rude awakening soon.
That's what I'm hearing, man. Like I said, I'm a new subscriber, but I'm gonna start listening to what you're saying. You're spitting truth. I need someone with some nuance and someone that's just not trying to chill out garbage. You know what I mean? I just want people to understand that they're really just two sides of the same coin. We need someone who's really independent and not trying to make it seem like, oh, I'm here for the money. I'm here to push out an agenda. It's what's actually happening and how can we move forward and make it better. But I'm gonna let you get to some other callers, man. I appreciate you.
All right, thanks, man. Hotep and Bill. Thank you to that caller. You know what helps a lot? Master Focus.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Try masterfocus.com. Hit the link in the description box below. Get you a discounted. I think that thing was going for $40 or something like that. I think if you hit the description links in the box below, I believe you get a subscription for $40. It's absolutely unheard of in my industry. At least not in the premium category. I mean, you can go buy some junk, but a lot of your success is going to be attributed to how well your brain is functioning. Being able to decipher propaganda is going to come down to how well your brain is functioning. And Master Focus does that.
Lauren G.
Lauren G, you on the line with Hotep Jesus. What up, bro?
What up, big dog? Man, it's good to talk to you, bro. I'm a big supporter, bro. I've been following you probably since the Kanye stuff. But I was just going to say, I got two things. One, I'm not going to lie, bro. I feel like Ye, he kind of hit that fourth wall that people don't want to talk about, on both sides. That
What do you mean?
I mean, it's a group of people. It's the country that we give a lot of money to. It's a group of people that invest on both sides. So it's like, yeah, I mean, you kind of gotta address the elephant in the room, right? Or no? Because I mean, I feel like that's like kind of where it all comes from. Like if you do the research on it, I mean, I don't want to just go in on.
Well, I've done probably more research on it than anybody in this space, and what I've realized is it's a rabbit hole with a lot of fake news in it, and it's much more nuanced than how you make it seem. It actually only comes down to 3 organizations: ADL, B'nai B'rith, and one other one. It's actually not a group of people or a country. In fact, Trump is loved in that foreign country that you're talking about of Israel. He's like a king over there. So it's not as simple as saying, hey, Israel. Now, does Israel have a large U.S. lobby? Yes, they do. But, to say that it's, quote unquote, Jewish people, I think is it's not specific. You're better off just saying ADL, B'nai B'rith, and I forget the other organization. But I've done a ton of research in this space because I used to come from that same conspiratorial outlook. But the more I studied, the more I understood it and understood how Jewish people are actually being used as pawns. And I started understanding that Jewish people are kind of like black people, where we have an aristocratic class that gets to make decisions, and then we get blamed for it, right? So, for example, when you say something like, oh, black people always vote Democrat, or black people think this way or they think that way, it's like, yeah, because that's that small group of people at the top that you look at that call the shots. So the same thing happens with Jewish people. There's a small people at the top that don't represent them that call the shots. And the same thing with Republicans, red, whites, you name it. So it's not really a Jewish thing or an Israel thing. It's definitely more of a power thing, and who has power and who doesn't.
No, you're 100% right. I should have been more specific. I guess like the ADL, like when they just pointed out how George Soros, is just like when Elon was talking about like this guy's like the Penguin or something off Batman, and and it's like the ADL is gonna stick up for him when he came out and said that he was rounding people up and stuff too. So it's like it's kind of insanity a little bit. And then the whole Ari Emanuel thing, like it is specific people, but they have a shit ton of power, bro, and a lot.
Well,
of
you have to look at how that power was accumulated to really understand it.
True.
There's a great book called 200 Years Together, I think it's called, by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Alexander Solzhenitsyn is like one of the foremost authorities on, the relationship between Jewish people and Europe. And really, you have to dive in and look at that. But when you dive in and you look at the relationship between Jewish people and, let's say, the nation state of Ukraine or Russia, it comes back to, then what they had something called the rabbinate, and the rabbinate were doing some real cruel, wicked stuff with Jewish people to get some things passed, So again, it still comes back to a small group at the top calling the shots. But I don't attribute Jewish power to being oppressive or sinister or anything like that. I attribute it to living by their book. I think this is where people go wrong, because the same conspiracy theorists that talk about Jewish power, they ain't talking about Saudi Arabian power. Like, why is that always omitted when we look at Saudi Arabian power? And Saudi Arabia is not that large, but yet they control a large part of U.S. money, treasury bonds, et cetera.
I think the Saudi Arabians, they sitting on, black gold. I think the whole
But that's
time,
not it, though. That's not why. Because why hasn't the U.S. gone over there and taken that shit? I'm telling you, the difference is people, if you follow your good book, you tend to do well. You know who doesn't do well? People who don't follow the good books. And you look at Christians in America, both white and black, have done a poor job in following a good book. And Jews do a great job in following their book. Muslims do a fabulous job following a good book. And then when they come here and they go to any land, they tend to prosper because they follow the rules of the book. And there's rules in that book, economic rules in that book, that whites and blacks, frankly, don't follow. And then you got to remember, we're so busy fighting each other while these other groups are just getting money, right? So you can't blame another group for getting money when you're so worried about crying about who got power, who don't, white supremacy this, I'm oppressed, da-da-da-da, when you could just shut the fuck up and just get some money. But it comes down to culture. It comes down to culture. And I love Jewish culture and the way they move. They're very insulated. They're very nepotistic. And black people fail at that. White people fail at that.
This is true. I guess, you know, when it comes to culture, I guess that's part of one of the reasons why, like when you're talking about the outrage economy and stuff, it's like part of it is it's kind of like the divide and conquer. And like, again, it's not all Jewish people. I do think Jewish people, because I was reading one of the laws or something is that you have to teach your kid a skill. You know, if they don't, it's like, you know, you might as well, you know, lead them to death basically, because they're not going to be able to feed themselves.
Yes.
So I can agree with that, right? But however, again, when Rahm Emanuel runs Chicago and it's literally Chirac, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or, you know, or some of these guys have these media platforms that are stirring the pot, and it's kind of like, yo, of course you're gonna win because you're dividing the competition. You're like dividing and conquering the competition.
Well,
right?
remember what we said earlier in the earlier phone calls. What we said oppression requires consent. So without consent, Rahm Emanuel can't do nothing. Without consent, Sony, Warner, and nobody could do nothing. We had to consent to that. We had to consent to playing a gangster on TV. Somebody had to consent to that. Jackie Robinson had to consent. Now this is a prime example of what I'm talking about. How we can't just go around blaming Jewish people. You know, one of the villains in my story is Jackie Robinson and every Negro like him. You had the Negro Leagues. The Negro Leagues were killing it. We were selling out stadiums. We were doing very well. And what they say, oh, we want to swing the white man's bat. So they integrated. They didn't integrate at the front office. They didn't integrate at the cap table. They integrated on the field where the rest of the slaves worked. And then what happened? All the power got sucked to the top. And now the MLB integrates all y'all, get paid off of y'all. And the Dominicans get more looks in baseball than a black man does. Right. So you know, you can't look at other groups. You got to look at what you're doing, what your group is doing that allowed power to get siphoned out. And Jackie Robinson is a great example of that. Like, look at what I was talking about earlier with the integration. We went from black for black to black want to be integrated with white to wait, now we want black only graduations. And it's just like y'all went full circle just to end back at zero. You know what I'm saying? Like, why didn't you build your own universities? Why does the federal government fund our universities? Like, you got to look at how we moving.
That's true.
When you look at the Jewish community, the Jews run their community, bro. They build their own schools. They fund their own schools. They fund their own court systems. When we got problems with another black person, we go to the white man's court to handle our issues. Where's the black court? Where's the black court system? Where's the black police system?
I guess I'm wondering.
So when you go to some places like Mount Vernon in New Jersey, where they got those private Jewish schools for Jewish kids, they built them. Why we ain't built our schools?
So what I'm saying is, I can agree, right? I can agree. We're not going along with the book. I can agree, but I guess, okay. So when you look at Ice Cube or Isaiah Thomas, who tried to build a league, of course, yeah, some black people didn't help them, but they also
You got to remember, Ice Cube built his league with a Jewish man. A Jewish man put me on Fox. If it wasn't for a Jewish man, I wouldn't be on Fox.
Well, again, I'm not going at all the Jews. I'm not saying that. You know
but we got to be clear though. When we use these terms, because we got to be right and exact and we got to be specific. But when we look at Ice Cube and you say, well, how come he couldn't, get the funding he wanted for his team? Well, who did invest? Let's look at the cap table and see who invested. Did your favorite celebrity invest? Did they throw money
that's
up?
what I'm saying.
Did former
My
basketball
favorite-
players?
Ye is my favorite celebrity. He invested. But I'm saying that part of what he was saying is that there's two reasons they not investing. One, because it's some funny business. And then two, because they don't support their brother. So I agree that it could be one or the other. And I don't know. I'm not in that position. However, for the people who have tried to make those steps, I'm just going based off what they're saying.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is with the business that Ice Cube's involved in, I don't know what the profit margins are there. I don't know what the ROI is there. I don't know what the time span is before you get a return. So I don't know that business. If I studied that business, we could probably have this conversation at a more expert level. But, from the outside looking in, it doesn't seem to be something as profitable as investing in, let's say, spirits, clothing, or tech. Those things tend to be turnkey, where you just need a lot of influence or really good technology, a really good idea, something that solves a problem, and you can make some really good profits. But a league, there's so many moving parts and so many people you got to depend on, and so much overhead, like renting out the stadium and then sponsors and then selling tickets and marketing. It's a lot there. So, even if somebody wanted to invest, a mill doesn't go far in that type of business. A mill, they're going to spend that day one. You know what I'm saying? Whereas a mill for, a tech company goes a lot further. So it's more like an opportunity cost type thing. So I don't think you can blame, the black community for not supporting Ice Cube. I think there are more important things that we could invest in other than some basketball league. I think we failed at that many years ago when we wanted to integrate. We failed Ice Cube before Ice Cube was born.
Okay. All right, so that was good convo. All right, just got one last, and I guess this is I'm just expressing.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like a frustration of like the majority kind of coming around 2 to 3 years later? So like, whether it be Trump or this transgender stuff or like anything, it's like when you first present it like, hey, COVID, this looks kind of crazy on paper, and they're like, no, it's cool. And then like 3 years later or 4 or 5 years later, they're like, yeah, this is kind of crazy. But it's like now we're dealing with the repercussions and you're just coming over to this side. Like, honestly, I was telling women like, yo, how are y'all not insulted that men are acting, even when it was just like regular gay dudes, they're acting like you. Like they think they're you. How is this not an insult? And they're just like, well, it's cool. It's like, now it's not cool, but now it's kind of too late. It's like, and I feel like that with a lot of shit. And it's like, I try not to, it's like, okay, whatever, water under the bridge, but it's like, I kind of do have a slight frustration with people at this point where it's like, yo, we was telling y'all like 5 years ago, bro. It's like, even for the people who still waking, or who, I'm happy that people are waking up, but it's just like,
well, to answer your question, yeah, I get frustrated. Every once in a while, I have a moment of frustration, more specifically about the BLM situation, because I was screaming that shit from the rooftops in 2014, 2015. Yeah. And I was getting canceled left and right, and I didn't care. I was telling family members about it, and they didn't care. I think the most frustrating part about all of this is that now that everything has come full circle and everything's in the light, that we can't have the conversation now. Like before it was, let's have the conversation and Hotep, you're wrong. Now that I've been proven right, it's like, let's not even talk about it.
Yeah, and it's just like, I feel like, that meme of with the dog is just sitting in the house and it's burning and he's just like, everything's fine. Yeah. I feel like that's how people are acting. It's like, how do y'all even watch TV? Or like, I don't even watch a lot of entertainment. I just watch fucking YouTube and Twitter because it's like life is more entertaining than anything they're putting out right now. like every time I look up, it's some new crazy shit that we already knew about.
Well, what you're talking about, that frustration is how a grifter is born. Okay? The more frustrated I become, the more grifty I become. Because it's like, on one hand, you can tell people, hey, here's what's going to happen 5 years from now. You know, like the Bitcoin moment I had that went viral, right? Somebody's actually going to create that solution I came up with, and everybody's going to be using it, and Bitcoin's going to go to 1 million, right? Because that's how you're going to onboard people who don't understand keys and crypto. So now I look like an idiot. 5 years from now, I'm going to look like a genius, right? So it's like, do you continue to warn people, or do you just know the play and then go with the flow and make your plays and set your investments up based upon where you know the future is going to be? And that's why, you know, you kind of just, like me, I've changed my rhetoric a lot over the years, and I'm just like, look, I got to look out for myself. I got to look out for the Hotep community. Mostly, I feel like I got to look out for the Hotep community, mostly because they've been riding with me for so long that, like, I owe them, right? Like, so for example, right? Like, when shit hits the fan, there's only like a set amount of people that you can save. Like, I'm saving family and Hoteps, and the rest of these motherfuckers could just perish for all I care, right? But, you know, Jesus can only carry but so many people to the mountaintop. So, you know, because this is my community, that's the only thing I can worry about, bro, is like, I'm not worried about anybody else outside of this community. You know, the truth is going to be said to the Hoteps. And then when you go to the Twitter timeline, I don't really say too much because motherfuckers just ain't ready for the truth. You know what I mean? And I'll be crucified. Man. You know, even Jesus told the truth and he was crucified, right? So it's, you know, after you're frustrated a bunch of times, you start knowing when and when not to speak up and trying to time this thing better for your own, you know, gain. But you know me, I'm trying to go to the top, man. Fox News, whoever got the contract, let's get it popping, man.
Hey, you was killing it on Fox too, bro. They need you back on there.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Hey, one last thing. I just say, man, I said it in the chat, but I fuck with your takes. I fuck with you, period, but your nuanced takes, you're able to look at both sides and give a realistic perspective. And I feel like more people live in that land, but when you outrage, you either go to one side or the other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, if I was just all about the clicks, I would just go hard right or hard left. But I just can't do it, bro. It's something like programmed in me that, you know, and I want to say it's my dad.
You're a real person, bro.
Yeah, my dad was like that. You know, he was the type of person where, you know, he wasn't going to sell out for shit. He ain't compromising shit. This is what he thinks, this is what he believes. That's it, you know. And he don't care, you know, what repercussions come with that. So I was raised like that. And it's just something that just doesn't sit right with me to just, you know, shill one side. I got to call it down the middle, bro.
Yeah, man. Real one. Appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you, man. Hotep and Bill. Come hang out with me, man. HotepCon. HotepNation.com/HotepCon, man. Righteous Omen said, HJ, you don't owe anyone anything. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. That's a part of being a good person, is understanding that when people have poured into you, you pour back into them. It's so many people. And the thing is, you know, some people say, you know, Hotep Jesus, phone lines is open, 202-596-5631. Hotep Jesus, you know, you're so good at what you do. You're so good at what you do. How'd you get good? I'm on my second life. My first life, I was an entertainer on tour with Demic. We were popping. I had gotten all this experience of talking in front of the camera in my previous brand. This is my second life. And what I noticed from my first life is there's a lot of people who make a meteoric rise to the top. There are a lot of people who help them get there. And as soon as they get there, they dump those people. And that to me is fucked up. Then there's some people who get to the top. They remember who helped them get there and they take care of those people. And those are people who usually last longer. Like when I meet people, I have a list in my head of people that when I make it uber big, I'm going to just pull up, be like, yo, get in the car. Yo, you ain't got to work this job no more. I got a list of people that's just like, you could just quit your job. I got, you know, you could fucking, you know, keep my ice cold for me for the same fucking salary and work from home. You know what I'm saying? I have a list of people like that. But I think that's how good things happen, man, when you live in God's vein.
Call from
AK Kamara.
AK Kamal, what up, bro?
Hey, what up, Hotep? Hey, man, with the way that you got these folks out here talking about white people are oppressed, I might be double dipping in reparations soon, man. I'm half and half, bro.
No double dipping, damn it. No double dipping.
You know, the thing that's wild, man, is like you hit it spot on that all the stuff, if you want to be honest about stuff, it boils down to this class system that we have in this country. And I agree that when you add layers of race or ethnicity, depending on where you're at, those are additional layers, but they're not primary. It's not the prime issue. And it's mind-boggling to me because I'm a conservative because, like, I found my way to conservatism by reading about history.
Yeah.
Like, this dude tried to, like, basically convert me to be a Democrat when I was 19, and he told me to read this book, 1001 Things Every American Should Know About African American History.
Okay.
And so I read this book, and I learn about, you know, how the Republican Party was between the Free Soil and the Whig Party, it was abolition. And that, to me, that was my first kind of light bulb. I was like, wait, I never really even heard it kind of explained this way. And then I just started to do research about what, you know, basically conservatism was, what liberalism was. And I was like, yo, I think I'm a conservative, you know, based off of how I feel about stuff. But the thing that grinds me is that when I hear conservatives adopting this, like, racial narrative, that blows my mind because they're actually doing exactly what the leftists want. Like, the Marxists that want to deconstruct society to build it back in the way they want, they need to have racial animus, knowing, though, that if white people act up, you're going to have the full force of the government slap them down. And then who gets to stand in the mayhem that occurs? Those that are already in power in the institutions.
Yes.
And that's, to me, what's crazy that the conservatives take the bait, man. They're allowing these Marxists to actually bring their full plan to fruition. First, take the institutions, then create a boogeyman, then inflame. And, like, Matt Walsh is, in my opinion, he's the worst person because he has the loudest voice in the conservative movement that keeps on saying this, like, white people are oppressed shit, which is nonsense.
I can't blame you. I can't argue. I'd love to.
Yeah, man. Like, here's the thing too, is to get a little bit of my grift on. I got like 100,000 TikTok followers. I don't know how I've been able to stay on the app. I make overt political content, but I made a video talking about Britney Griner, and I made one little plea because this is the part people have left out. Like, I get that, you know, she, like, wanted to not have the national anthem played, but have you seen the way that she talks about it now? She was like, I'm going to stand for the national anthem. I went to Russia. I really saw how bad it is. And, like, you know, I actually now think that America's not that bad. And I think that to be nuanced about it, we should congratulate that. The WNBA is still trash. It sucks. It's garbage product. But, like, hey, maybe it takes going to a Russian gulag to, like, make you appreciate America, you know?
Yeah. That's why I said I think some people need to spend some time outside of the country to appreciate what they got, and then they'll realize how unimpressed they are.
Yeah, no, that's for sure, man. So when I was in college, I got sent by AIPAC, the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee.
That's the other company I was thinking about. Yeah.
Yeah, because they identified me as, like, a future political leader because I was running the college Republicans in the state that I lived in Minnesota. Yeah. And so they sent me out there, and it was a cool thing, man. I got to get down with some real, like, down-to-earth Israeli people. I met some Israeli Arabs, you know, and, like, it's so much more nuanced, like you said, that, like, again, it's not about who's at the top controlling the narrative. It's about you have these hierarchies of power, and those in power will push a narrative that makes people go at odds with each other. It's like, listen, man, the average Jewish or Israeli person, they're just trying to grind and get their bread like everyone else, man.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, because people are people, right? Like, it's a trip, man. But yeah, you've been hitting it out the park today, bro. I just wanted to drop in real quick and you know, hope for that double dip reparations.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No double dipping though, man.
right, bro. Hotep and Bill.
Hotep and Bill. That's a good caller right there. He said he double dipping on the reparations. I can't say I blame him. 631, get in here. I know I saw you call in 631. Go ahead and get in here. Phone lines are open. 202-596-5631. Hold on, I'm just checking my schedule here today. Uncle Hotep. We have our show tonight. That is patreon.com/Hotep's Been Told You, which is a version of kind of like the Grift Report, just with me and Uncle Hotep and different topics. So we'll be recording that tonight. If you're on patreon.com/Hotep's Been Told You, you'll get that. Shout out to all our VIP members. So if you want to get that extra show tonight, go sign up. We appreciate the support for all of our VIPs over there. What did I want to comment on? Oh wait, here we go. 281.
Call from
DB Hotep.
DB, what up, man?
Oh, what's up? I was just calling with AK Kamara, just calling, bringing up a good point that I've kind of wanted to bring up for a while. You know, he's talking about how these Marxists came in and took over institutions and did all that kind of stuff, man. It's crazy to see just how, like, kind of how bitch-made Republicans and, like, conservatives are.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh, yeah, the Marxists came in and took it over. It's like, okay, so what are you going to do about that? It's like, you know, really nobody ever has an answer. It's always just like, well, they took it, you know, oh, they took it. It's like, okay, you going to take it back or you just going to stand there and be weak?
Right. Yeah, like, what are you going to do about it? What's your action plan?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and like the same kind of thing happened, you know, with the, I mean, you can look at like the church, and I would say it kind of starts in the church, because you get the church starting to preach false things, you get people that go to church starting to preach false things, and, you know, you kind of end up in that weird spot where people think they're being righteous because it's what they're hearing in church, but it's just propaganda, you know?
Right.
And so, you know, it's crazy to think that it's just like, oh, like at one point, you know, it's like you had to, you know, I'm not going to sit here and condone the Crusades and say that was, you know, a shining moment in Christianity, but, you know, it's like, hey, you know, at least they came out, had the balls come back and say, you know what? No, you're not going to take our church. Nah, you're not doing that.
It's funny you said that, because I was talking to Chad last week, and I brought up the Crusades. It's like, man, but the Crusades was moving different. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny you said that, because, I mean, they weren't exactly, you know, the greatest group of individuals, but I get your point.
Yeah, well, and it's crazy, too, because, like, the same thing is happening, you know, in the, you know, Protestant churches, you know, the non-Catholic churches. The same thing is happening.
Yeah.
You know, you got all your mainline churches are starting to go more theologically liberal, and they're not holding to the book. And it's like, all right, well, hold on, you know, somebody is like, oh, I want to go see what this Christianity is all about. Let me go check out First Baptist Church.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're getting some kind of whack theology in the First Baptist Church, and it's like, well, hold on, I don't think I want to be that.
That's what I think. That's what I think is the main problem. You know, when people talk about Jewish people or Muslim people, I'm like, you notice how these groups are doing better, but they stick closely to the rules of their book. If Christians followed the Bible to a T, I think they'd live a lot better.
Oh, I 100% agree. But I think part of the problem is the church has been so kind of like, the church has been kind of co-opted, and then, you know, they kind of take, and this is kind of what Republicans do as well, is when, you know, whoever, you know, the liberals or the leftists come and take the mainline church, they're just like, oh, well, we'll just go out in the countryside because you took our church in the city. We'll just go out to the countryside and we'll make a little compound, and that's how we'll, you know, and then we'll teach it in there. And it's like, all right, so now you expect people to go out of the city where, you know, where most people are,
mm-hmm,
to come to your church to get the right thing? Like, nah, dude, put up a fight. Don't just be okay with somebody coming in and taking your house and being like, no, we're not going to teach that anymore.
Right.
It's like, if you're really about it, be about it. Don't just give up on it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Because you give up on it, and then what happens? You know, you give up on it, and then it just continues to move, and it moves into culture, it moves into schools, it moves into, you know, higher education, like Harvard, Yale, Dartmouth, all those.
Berkeley. Mm-hmm.
You know, Ivy League schools were all, you know, started when the Protestants came over.
Yep. Yeah.
But I mean, like Harvard, their main motto was like for men to grow by reading the Bible and exercising logic.
Yeah.
Like that was what they were built on, and it's like now you got Harvard, and it's just like, Harvard's doing its own thing. They don't have an affiliation with it anymore.
Real
They
talk.
still got Veritas. They still got Veritas in the name, but ain't nothing that they're doing truthful.
Yeah. Hey man, I appreciate the call. Let me get to
it's just whack,
631,
man.
bro.
Like, yeah, no worries, man.
All right, Hotep and Bill. 631, go ahead, hit that line, bro. Let me get 631 in here so I can get out of here. I got some things I got to get accomplished before the rest of my day unfolds. My day's kind of funny on Mondays and Wednesdays because I coach kids. So after this, I'll be going to kids practice. Then after that, I have 2 hours of chess practice. Then after that, I have the show with Uncle Hotep. So I have like a small sliver of free time after this show to basically spend time with my kids and go over their homeschooling stuff. So, yeah, we're going to get to 631 and I'm going to get out of here.
Call from.
It's your favorite Guinea Joe.
What up, man?
What up, Hotep? What's going on?
What's good, bro? Talk to me. What's on your mind?
Few things. I wanted to actually talk about reparations with you, if that's all right.
Let's do it.
What is your, like, my idea of reparations for black people? I feel like if they throw money at the reparations thing, I feel like it's just going to be a scam.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to give you a McDonald's Happy Meal type of fucking reparations where it's nothing really substantiable. But where should the money come from? Because that's where I kind of I was thinking about this theory is, and I'm just going to throw some numbers out there. Let's just say we set aside $100 billion for the U.S. government, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we take $20 billion of that out of let's just say a 5-year period, and we set that aside for reparations towards black people instead of it being not black people but descendants? Do we set that money aside towards land? Do you set it? Because I feel like if the government says, all right, don't worry, we're going to give you guys a check, there's going to be all types of fuckery involved in that.
So, yeah. First of all, let me say I agree with you. When I looked at reparations, even as a kid, when I looked at reparations, I always thought it was some flim flam that would be pulled. Some sort of rug pull would occur. Right. Also, I'm not a big fan of the dollar. So in some ways, I'm like, I don't know if I want a currency that is inflationary, right?
Right.
So to me, I was looking at tax exemption status as being like, you give me tax exemption status, man, I'll give you an N-word pass. Biden give me tax exempt status. He could call me nigga as many times as he want. I don't give a damn.
How much African DNA do you need to have an N-word pass? By the way.
Oh Lord.
I just want to be able to sing rap music without having to censor myself. No, but what if we told people within government, like let's say AOC, I'm sure she's all for reparations, right?
Yeah.
How much of her salary and benefits is she willing to kick back towards reparations?
That was my thing with government. Aside from reparations, I thought that government positions came with too many perks.
Because, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
yeah, go ahead.
The one thing that concerns me, right, is that if the Biden regime, let's say they were to go forward with reparations, right? Basically, what they're going to do is the government is basically going to do like they do with all of the taxes. They're going to basically come to your head with a gun, figuratively speaking, and say pay up. So they're going to factor in these numbers for reparations and who's going to pay for it. I'm just going to look at more ones and zeros taken out of my paycheck.
Well, I'll give you a better argument.
Okay.
Just to win the debate, if you ever have this debate against somebody that's black, just say, do you realize you'll be paying back your own reparations? because it's going to have to come from the tax base.
Thank you. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
You're paying yourself back. You're right, and that was my fucking hope, because I feel like if we go forward, if we actually do reparations in the right way, I do think that it would mend some scars. Not fully. Not going to fix everything. It's not going to make the world all.
It's not going to do any. It's not going to do any of that. You can't fix. You can't fix emotional problems with physical things.
Yeah.
That's just a fact of the
But
matter.
do you think?
And my concern is, if you give every black person in America $1 million, they won't be able to afford anything because the price of everything is going to go up. Inflation is going to get even worse.
Well, that's why I said, like, throwing money at the situation, throwing a check at the situation is the worst. Like, I mean, land is
you'll
probably
fuck the economy up if you give out that much money.
Yeah, I think land and tax exemption is probably the best deal. But
I say tax exemption and call it even, because you figure the crime was created by the United States government. So
right,
if why should I be paying you if you committed a crime against me? That's my only thing. But I don't even want land. Just give me tax exempt stands. I'll get my own land.
And that was the other part of it, is like, I feel like if people start getting taxed on their paycheck and they go, it's going to reparations, I feel like that's actually going to make race relations probably a lot worse.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to cause resentment, because you're going to have people looking at their paycheck, like I said, more money's getting taken out for some shit that I didn't do.
Yeah.
That's like, I guess that's like the white boy perspective that I wanted to bring it towards you, so you can speculate on that.
Well, that's assuming that your taxes would go up to pay for this, right? Did our taxes go up to pay for Ukraine? The answer is no. We paid for Ukraine at home based upon who we elected in our government and those people who they elected in the Federal Reserve. We paid for those problems in the financial system. I think it's just my issue is there's a huge slap in the face when there are funds that are appropriated for Ukraine that didn't go to programs for students or veterans. That's my biggest issue. Like, where could that money have been better placed?
Are you ever going to debate the Amazing Lucas on this?
I would love to. I don't think he'd accept, but he would. I think Amazing Lucas doesn't want to talk to me. I don't know why.
No, he definitely doesn't, because after this show today, I swear to God, he'll never call you out. But I'm telling you, if you watch this show any time of the past few fucking months, trust me, after what you just said on the show today, in his book, you're fucking coon number one.
Yeah? Why?
He'll just fucking say you have white people talking points.
Yeah.
How dare you not be for yeah, bro? Trust me. You listen to his next stream.
Well, I've met Amazing Lucas. We in person. We hung out. We had a fabulous time. When this was a few years back in Arizona. We had a great time. We spent like 3 hours just kicking it one night at his hotel room on the balcony, shooting the shit. And I think he's a wonderful individual. I don't think we see eye to eye on all of these situations, but I've been trying to have a conversation with him, and it just seems difficult.
Yeah, I want to like the dude, but I can't really anymore, because now he just breaks shit down by racial lines.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically like a sophisticated Al Sharpton at this point.
Damn.
All right, listen, I didn't want to hold up all your time. I appreciate you taking my call.
Yeah.
Hotep and Bill, bro.
Hotep and Bill, bro. Yeah, I think, though, give you guys a little bit of tip here. If you're ever having a debate with somebody, don't center yourself, center them in the situation. So, for example, when I was talking to him about, who's going to have to pay tax and reparations, and he said, well, I'm going to have to pay for your reparations, right? And basically what you did was you centered yourself, which is, or comes off as selfish. But if you say, hey, do you realize you'll be paying back some of those reparations via taxes? And how do you feel about that? And then just let them discuss. The majority of people are going to say, well, I don't care. I don't mind. I'll pay for it. It's only going to be a small part of my paycheck and I don't mind. You'll get some sort of response like that. He dropped a video on Hotep's versus Black Panther. I don't know what it is, but it's there. I'll debate anybody. I really don't care. I'll debate the Black Panthers. I'll debate, another Hotep, Lucas. I don't really care. I'm undefeated in debates right now. And mostly because, I can't tell you my secret to debates and why I always win my debates. You'll have to pay for that. Oh yeah, I forgot. Tim Scott, 57, never married, no children. Not to be harsh, but that's simply disqualifying, says Will Chamberlain. That's an interesting take. Do we disqualify Tim Scott because he's 57 with no kids and never been married? Now, I have said in the past that if you don't have kids, you shouldn't be able to vote. I didn't mean that literally. It was just an idea I had because, I don't think people who have kids view this world the same as people who don't. And those decisions are going to be, when I make decisions, I'm not making decisions on my behalf. I'm making decisions trying to protect my children. And when you don't have somebody to protect and all you have is yourself, there is something to be said there. So I don't know if I agree with Will as disqualifying him completely, but there is something there. Let's go to The View really fast.
That Tim Scott has is that he seems to think because I made it, everyone can make it. Ignoring, again, the fact
Oh, so she was listening to Sonny this morning.
that he is the exception and not the rule. And until he is the rule, then he can stop talking about systemic
He's got
racism.
Clarence Thomas syndrome.
But I do
That's
think
what-
that he
Clarence Thomas syndrome.
has championed policies specific to help the Black and brown community. The First Step Act, which I know a lot of liberals think it didn't go far enough, but it helped in the first year get 3,000 inmates released and into rehabilitation programs.
Those are all great.
He was the champion of the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, which I think was able.
He was one of them. Yeah, he was. Listen, I don't take it. Look, he's done some good stuff. Okay, but if you're running for president, you got to do more than that.
Yeah.
You have to represent us as a nation, and then say, and as a Black man, this is also how I feel. But you can't pretend that it's not there and that it's not an issue for the people you're running, for the party you're running for. They are, in part, the problem. This cat down in Florida, I mean, Black people know there's a problem in Florida. Yep. That's what I just wanted to say to the NAACP.
See, I was with Whoopi all the way up until she started talking about Ron DeSanctimonious. That's when she lost me.
knows there's a problem in Florida. Everybody knows.
I was with her, I was with her on the whole, Tim Scott thing and, him not wanting to talk about what it's like to be a Black man in this country and the Black problems. I was with her until she talked about Ron DeSanctimonious, and now I'm just like, nah, I'm with Ron on canceling CRT. I am with him, I want to say 95%. That 5% is just to cover any blind spots I may have on the subject matter. But yeah, CRT is a no-go in my book. I really don't want my kids to be taught CRT outside of framing it as a PSYOP and a curriculum for victimhood and letting them see it as that. Because CRT to me is just detrimental to the minds of Black people across the world. Steph, you shout out. I'm here for the Grift Report every day at 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be filling up the Grift bag daily. If you guys want to contribute to what I talk about, hashtag Grift bag and tag me on Twitter with a video, tweet, something that you see that you would like me to discuss. If it will make it to the Grift bag, I'll confirm with you. I said, yup, good pick. If it doesn't, maybe it'll pop up in the future. But that's how you can participate in this show. I'm here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. Hit the like button to jig the algorithm. Timestamps will be at the bottom of this video shortly, so you guys can share the different topics, make your clips, etc., etc. And for the people that are part of our Patreon, patreon.com/Hotep's been told you, I will see you later. Hotep and Bill.
Most of you will be replaced by AI.
But it doesn't have to be this way. You can become AI resistant, but you will need to outperform the machines. You may not think this is possible, but it is. The infiniteness of human consciousness is more infinite than the power of the machine. You may not know how to tap into this power, but we do, and we will show you how. Join us in this journey to make the machine our servant.